starts with a good person.
And welcome everybody to this December. Hello, Mike. Welcome everybody to this December 27th, and for you 28th
Yes.
live stream. A late in the year, right before the final bell. We're getting in a
clock?
live stream.
It is
What's
Tuesday.
that?
It is his clock 9 a.m. Tuesday.
You're a trooper, sir. And you know what? I think I should have thought about this. I bet you that, you know, because I know a lot of our viewers cross-pollinate, and I bet you they're here right now in the chat. I'm sure they're kicking me for not letting you start the video with your famous intro, your intro line, every time you have a video.
On this edition of the news.
That's right.
I usually lean more into the camera more. It's very animated. It gets their attention. It gets everyone's attention.
Well, you know what? It's every good YouTube channel has a personality, and whether it's, you know, Reynolds reviews or shabby reviews, Universal Shabby reviews, or Analog Toys, or, you know, you name them, Gen X Toys Geek, Chasing 80s Toys. And I love the fact that they're independent voices, and you're an independent voice out there in the space, and you've been just killing it with modern toy news for how many years now?
My channel's been up since late 15, but I've
been that's what I thought. Yeah,
Star Wars mostly since 2018. Mostly Star Wars. I dropped all the Funko Pops. I dropped all the Hot Wheels. Yeah.
Well, that was probably around the time that I got wind of your channel, because I'm sure you know this as well, being a content creator. Channels amongst all the viewers kind of go in fads where they're all still around, but excuse me, I shouldn't have had that soda before we started. One will crop up and everybody will start emailing you about that channel. Hey, have you seen this new channel? Or have you been watching this particular channel? Well, I remember back in 2018, Usualmike started coming up in my emails. People would say, hey, have you checked out Usualmike? Have you seen Usualmike? You know, I know how much you and Analog Toys, collaborate, and Usualmike's from his neck of the woods. And, I thought that might interest you. And so I started checking out your channel, and it quickly became a thing where, and I don't want to pull a Kevin Smith where I like spend 30 minutes talking while the guests can't talk. I promise you this is almost over. But I spent my time for modern, when I would watch YouTube modern, it would be watching 2 Cents Toys for action figure reviews of modern. And it would be checking out every single post that you dropped, every single video you posted, for the latest news on stuff coming out, rumors and everything like that. So it quickly became this kind of symbiotic relationship where it was like Usualmike and 2 Cents Toys, and this is where I live when it comes to modern. Like, this is where I stay. You say your channel goes back to 2015, but let's take the Wayback Machine first to childhood. And before we do that, Analog Toys is in the house, and he says, "Oh, very kind, sir." He says, "Is this another imaginary Australian that you made up, Michael?"
We don't exist, apparently.
So yeah, I made him up, and I'm sending him a sail barge. So let's take the Wayback Machine to your childhood first. Tell me a little bit about. Toy? Well, not just even your first Star Wars toy. Do you remember toys before Star Wars, or was Star Wars your first?
I think Star Wars was my first. Action figures, yeah. It would have been 84, somewhere around even my birthday or Christmas. My grandmother gifted me a Han Solo on card, and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I was like, oh, this guy's in the movie. Like, the representation of a real person as action figure form, that was a big deal. And I'm a young fella. I didn't know what was really going on. And I've said before, I was quite poor growing up, so I didn't have all the ships and places. So to get an action figure, that was a big deal. That was a big deal just to have the figure.
Wow.
And so I only collected a little bit because, being a young fella, you can't go into the shops and buy it. You have to nag and say, oh, wait for this, wait for that. And so it was just figures at the beginning, and then it moved into die-cast cars for Hot Wheels, because Hot Wheels were cheaper. That's how poor we were. So you can't drop $3 on this when a car's only 99 cents.
Oh yeah, and Hot Wheels maintain that price to this day, whereas everything else is just Hot Wheels are inflation immune, it seems like. Well, was that when you first got that? I know it was 1984, so I'm going to go into my nerd brain here for a minute. were Star Wars figures in Australia still Toll Toys at that point, or had they just been rebranding?
I've racked my brain about this. I don't know if I had a Toll Toys one. I could have, or I just could have got a Kenner import. But when you're young, you don't know. You don't think to turn it over and see Jedi card back because it's got Toll Toys on it or not. Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't want to open it too. I remember I didn't want to open it. My mother's like, "Are you going to open it or what?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Big mistake.
Well, I mean, hindsight 2020. You were a kid. I mean, you know, the reason I asked that question was because every now and then, sometimes childhood memories break through of the weirdest things. So, for example, I remember that even though, like yourself, I was buying Star Wars figures in the Jedi era, I'll never forget being given Lobot for a birthday, and he was on an Empire Strikes Back card, which means that he had been peg warming somewhere for a long time. But it was a shocking thing to me because I'd never seen a different logo on the card before, and so it carried with me, you know, all the way. Yeah. All right. So you're getting Star Wars and Hot Wheels. You said you transitioned to Hot Wheels soon after Star Wars because they were cheaper. How many Star Wars toys did you end up with before that transition happened?
I want to say, I think I was collecting most of the first 12, but obviously the ones that were just repacked on Jedi, I would have only had about 10.
Right.
10 or maybe less. Maybe my brothers took a few, but it wasn't a great big collection.
Wow.
And then one brother starts the Transformers, the other one starts the He-Man collecting. And I'm like, Star Wars become unpopular in the household amongst the brothers. And so I started collecting micro machines after I started getting pocket money and things like that. It was like,
wow,
smaller cars.
so you actually had to follow the toy fads and preferences of your siblings as they go, so goes the family, I guess, in a sense. Now, was that a resentment for you at any level? Like, I mean, Hot Wheels are great. Don't get me wrong. Matchbox cars, micro machines, they're great, but they're a completely different play experience than action figures. Was there any or none of a kind of, like a wistfulness, like, can't we keep doing this?
Oh, I think so, because they stayed in the toy box. A lot of them stayed in the toy box, so they were still in the house, but we didn't keep collecting them. And then about 1988, I went and stayed. You know, you have a sleepover at your mate's house, and he had the Ewok village, he had that, and lots of figures. His toy box was 10 times mine, and that was like, oh my god! And his dad collected the Power of the Force, which was 85, and that was the first time I ever seen them all together.
Wow.
With me, I'm thinking I can't collect that because it's got a coin on it. I thought that's just for adults because he kept them on card. If that bloke still got them today, he's worth a fortune. Yeah, and this guy's an old farmer. He was an old farmer, you know, shooting wild boars and goats, and you know, he comes inside and collects, you know, carded Star Wars. I'm like, what a dynamic.
That, you know, I would not disrespect or insult anybody by trying to mimic an accent. So what I'll do is I'll draw on my own regional experience growing up in the southeastern United States. I was born in Tennessee, but I can visualize the mentality of a farmer, probably not unlike one in rural Tennessee, where they'd be like, they go into a store, they're probably there for, like, you know, a ratchet or some kind of spanner, something like that. And they look over and they see these figures and they're probably like, man, they got coins on them. That's fancy. That's some fancy stuff. And it's on sale. I better pick these up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick these up. And then they end up, you know, in the house, kept. That's how it happens. Anyway.
It was an experience to see them all back then. It was like a dream come true. Seeing that Ewok playset as well, that was amazing. And from there, I didn't really, from being at that time, I've remembered that so well. That kid had plenty. He had a speak and spell. I didn't ever have one of those.
Right.
And that sort of like the toy thing, I just thought, as I grow up, I'm going to collect all this. And I don't think I ever got to the point. I don't even have an Ewok playset now.
Right.
That memory of that cool Star Wars stuff, the big, a lot of it. Yeah. That was always a dream.
Well, that kind of fast forwards me a little bit, but before I jump too far ahead, because you talking about how you said you were going to collect it all, and even now, you know, you don't have an Ewok village or anything like that, but you're obviously a toy collector. Was there, after Hot Wheels, was there anything else before you got into like your teenage years, and kind of, a lot of us don't necessarily fully get out of toys, but there's kind of a lull, you know, it's kind of a lull of interest. Was there anything between Hot Wheels and the lull?
I don't think so, because when I was in high school, that's when we saw the Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi, the black and orange card backs from Hasbro. And my friend in high school was like all in. He's like, I'm going to get everyone. And I remember going in the store and seeing them on the pegs, and I just thought they were ugly as sin. I did not like them at all.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I only picked up a few as like, oh, my mate's getting lots of them, I'll get a couple. To this day, I only have the Tarkin on the green card back. It's the only one I have. The rest I've just...
Well, I mean, you dodged a bullet there, because I mean, everybody tripled up on those, and then they ended up being worth. And I know that, like, you don't buy things just for value.
Yeah.
But we all hoped, we were all like, oh, and then nowadays it's funny. It's such an inverse relationship, because now the Power of the Force vehicles are starting to be more highly sought after, because the vintage ones are priced out. But when you ask somebody, do you want the figures that went with them? Everyone's like, nah, you keep those. Like, nah.
Yeah. I don't like saying it too much on the air, because I know there are people in our community who have got every single one of them. And then when I say I didn't like them, he's like, how dare you? I don't want to show that opinion too much, because you'll offend people. If you collect them and like them, go for it, buddy. It's like
everybody hates me for my opinion. No, the thing is that I actually did collect them, for quite a while in the 90s. I would never stopped collecting Star Wars. I was buying them off kids in the UK, and then I was buying them at comic shops and boot sales in the United States when I got back, and then I was picking right up into the 95 Power of the Force stuff as soon as it hit the shelves too. And I bought them all the way through 97, pretty complete figures, not vehicles so much, but the figures. And I remember looking at them going, yeah, I mean, I don't like them as much as the vintage ones. I don't hate them though. I mean, I've obviously got a ton of them. Then I sold them eventually to a guy that wanted to army build them for some reason, like all of them. And I'm like, all right, cool. I think I got like $30 for like 100 figures, which is, I don't even want to think about. It was crazy. It was like, and that was like 2004, 5. It was right as Revenge of the Sith was coming out. So it's like, well, whatever. All right. So now you are looking at your Grand Moff Tarkin from Power of the Force, and you say to yourself, when was it that you said to yourself, I want to start collecting Star Wars for real? Like, as an adult, when did that happen, and why?
As an adult, I think the Funko Pop craze come around, and I thought I'll collect Funko Pops because my wife was deep into it, and I'll go get them. And after a while, I'd look at them and just go, why am I collecting this? Why don't I just go back to action figures? There's good action figures. And around that time, it's like 2015, The Force Awakens is coming back, whole new line of 5 POA. I'm all in. That's just like I dropped the Funko Pop. I was like, no, I'm just going to go to action figures.
Wow. So when they went back to 5 POA, that's when you jumped in on the modern Star Wars.
Yes, and it's because of a new card back, a brand new card back. It's not that orange. It's like a black and red one. It's got Kylo Ren on it. And it's very cringe, but I got every single one of them.
No, I mean, they had some really nice sculpts in that 5 POA line. The criticism from a lot of collectors at the time was just simply, why is Hasbro going backwards with 3 3/4 inch and not forward? I never had a problem. I mean, one of the nicest ones I thought from that 5 POA line was the Bespin Han Solo. I thought he looked great. I was like, I really like him.
Yeah, they sort of feel the older ones on the card.
Like some of them were. I mean, hell, the Kenner line had some hit and miss sculpts as well. So like, you look at some of the sculpts from the 5 POA line and you go, yeesh. But a lot of them were actually pretty nice. So you're collecting these 5 POA. This is what 20. What year was this? 2015.
15, 16. Yeah.
All
and
right.
that's where I thought, am I going to do my YouTube channel where I just show, because I'm an inbox collector. Very hard to do a review of articulation and all that when you keep it in the box.
Right.
So my mindset was, how can I make something, how can I share my hobby with everyone on YouTube and be an inbox collector? I'll just do news. I'll just do that.
Right.
I know this sounds terrible. I wish way back then I'd thought more about it, because now I have to do news because that's my thing. I can add content to my channel, but yeah, doing the news is very difficult. It ain't like just buying a figure and doing a review. That you can, point a camera and shoot and review that, and takes an hour. Sometimes just to do some research on it. Yeah, hours deep. You've got a lot of B-roll to put on the screen. It's a monumental task. And to have a family, Daddy, come and play. And it's like, in a minute, I'm just editing it a little bit more. Yeah,
Right.
it's time consuming, very time consuming.
Well, yeah, because you've also got the timestamp pressure. So if you don't get your video out with news in it, within a certain time, it's old news at that point, and you've missed the window.
Which also goes back to people don't watch my older content. Where's a review? If you put a review out tomorrow and I only got 100 views, in a year's time, you might have more views because that isn't dated. It's not dated. Mine is like, oh, that's being old news. Don't need to watch it. I watch the new news.
Right. No, absolutely. But again, it's if you've made peace with what you're doing, but you also did one smart thing, and you've done a lot of smart things, but this one particular smart thing, you didn't name your channel Usualmike News. You said Usualmike TV. So you have wiggle room. You have wiggle room if you wanted to juke left or right occasionally.
That goes back to being in high school. When I was in high school, Australia finally got pay television, or cable TV as you call it in the States. And I wanted my own channel. I specifically said, when I grow up, I'm going to have my own channel. There was no YouTube in those days.
Right.
So I worked in two different community television stations. Briz 31 no longer exists. Link TV no longer exists because they're all on the analog format. They're all digitized and they got rid of them. And then YouTube come along and I'm like, that's what I'm going to call my channel, Usualmike Television. And I've told people before, the Usualmike is just average Joe, 20th century average Joe. 21st century is Usualmike. I'm just the usual guy in the usual world doing my usual thing.
And to everybody listening, I can vouch that there are anybody named Michael is very usual at this point. There's a lot of us, and
most common name.
Yeah, when you're at a coffee shop or something and you have to place your order and they say, what name do I put it under? I actually never use Michael, because you know how many times I've said Michael and then they go, Michael, and 3 people raise their hand. And it's ridiculous. So you started your channel in 2015, ostensibly with a more Funko Pop thing going on. Yeah,
Funko Pop and Hot Wheels. Yeah. I think the very first video I got on my channel is me sitting on a park bench with at the time, my 10-year-old son filming me, and just opening up. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Just I had no rhyme or reason to what I was doing. I'm just like, I bought some stuff. I'm gonna show it.
Right. So were you also doing like Funko Pop news at the same time, or were you just purely showing people what you'd found for your collection?
I did a little bit of Funko Pop news, and it's only because the internet's there and they go, oh, here's some reveals. So I'll just go, oh, I bought this set's coming up, and I just show a picture on the screen, not really research much into getting into Funko. It's just going, oh, this is coming soon. There's a picture on the internet. And then that's where further on down the track, there was some an Instagrammer in Panama who picked up all the Last Jedi 5 POA figures early. No one had ever seen them. There was no reveals from Hasbro. There was rumors about them coming, and there was images on the internet. First video I do of news. That's what we're going to show the world, and that's where it all started. It wasn't called news, and it was called leaked. And then people criticized me for the name leaked. It sounds like you're taking a piss.
I mean, okay, so an unfair comparison for them to make, because leaks is what they call movie leaks and everything else. So I'm going to give you the point on that one, not them. But I understand the pressure that you were under, certainly. Tell me a little bit about the news gathering process for you, because I know that you are still very much an independent voice at this stage. Do you have, and again, there's no wrong answer here, do you have aspirations to maybe one day have a direct line of communication with the toy companies, or is that your end goal, or is your goal just to try and get the news as you are now and just keep making it available?
The one thing I would like is some kind of like if I know there's news going to drop overnight for me, I go to bed, everyone in the United States and the UK can see it, or reveals from Hasbro. They put pictures up, blah, 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 information, where the pre-orders are. And for me, the next day, I have to take all that information I find and make a video out of it. So I could start early in the morning if I'm not working that day, get all the pictures, get all the information, write it all down, film the video, edit it, put it up at night. So there's about a 12-hour gap. It's got to be quick.
Right.
I would like Hasbro to send me those pictures. They don't send me any images, so I have to get them all on websites and Instagram and Facebook and that. Yeah, so that's a struggle, because that's more time that I have to go and look for information.
Right.
And there's times there's information that's wrong, and I still present it wrong because I've got it from some other, Joe who's put it up incorrectly and said it's available this. Pre-order dates now are just out the window with the world. So just they're out when they're out. Yeah, so more of me is just saying this is coming soon because it's been revealed.
Yeah,
or if it's a leak, it's found in a store. Here's the photo of it, just like those these guys, the Christmas ones. Yeah, we saw a picture of them with a very heavy watermark across them recently, and that was a leaked photo, not revealed by Hasbro, but there's more Christmas stuff coming.
We have a super chat for you here from Connor Fuller. He says, Mike, I love your graphics, and they are always very well done, but I absolutely love your intro with Vader holding up the figure of himself.
That's those are made by, if you can see this action figure right here, is made by a guy called Wade's Customs. That's a custom figure. You can see it on the thumbnail. Everyone who's clicked on this video, you've seen me holding this up. He made those graphics. He's a graphic designer. He lives about an hour away from me, and we've had a cup of coffee and a chat, and yeah, he's given me this, and I couldn't thank him enough. I got
to tell you, we're gonna detour very briefly, and before I zone in on the whole modern thing in general. So maybe this is a good way to dovetail into it. But I watched that whole video where you showed yourself receiving that custom right there, and it wasn't out of the box yet. And I said, I know what photo he will have customized onto that card back because it is a no-brainer. I remember when Bjorn, who's a viewer of mine, sent me, he might even be here in the chat today. I think I saw him in the chat. Bjorn sent me the TVC Best of Escape Leia as a surprise. And I got it. And I remember pulling it out of the box. I think I pulled it out of the box on a live stream. And I remember my eyes like tried to adjust going, is this a printing error? Like, because it's just this big black rectangle on the side with like barely, and I'm going, this is a screenshot from the movie. Like, it's not even a promotional photo. It's dark as anything. Like, whoever made that decision, please tell me they got a dressing down from somebody at Hasbro for that. Like, how did that get all the way through to retail? You know, you talk about curb appeal. You talk about trying to attract the eye to your product. That one over your shoulder, no brainer. Why they didn't do that?
What's the real deal one? I'll go and grab.
Yeah. Look at that. It's horrible. Yeah, it's horrible.
Who decided that?
I just can't believe it.
The world of difference.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Like simulated, obviously you're like 7,000 miles away, but simulated, it might be like I'm 12 meters away or something like that. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, I can make out everything that's on the card that's custom. No problem. I know exactly what that is. On this other one, it looks like a miscard. It looks like she's been put on a Rancor Keeper card, and the Rancor Keeper card is also not at the proper contrast.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because it's a darker photo, but at least see even Kenner managed to up the contrast and photo
nice blue background.
Yeah. Anyway, I know I'm going off on crazy stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the modern thing. You're collecting the news, you're having to get in that window, but you're also now having to keep up with your own personal interest in the hobby. So you're trying to get modern Star Wars. They don't do 5 POA anymore. They barely do TVC, and you have gone in, I say, somewhat fully on Black Series. But if it started in 2013, did you go back and try and get the ones you missed, or are you just going forward from where you are?
No, this country here was very hard to get those anything around that time. And yeah, that's just the Black Series Princess Leia in the first box. Yeah, I didn't see it here at all. My shop didn't have anything like that. Yeah, it took a long time for the ball to get rolling for Black Series. So when they redid the box, what they call it Phase 3, with the Finn was number 1, that sort of fell on the shelf. But the stuff before that, the blue line, the orange line, Black Series, didn't really see too many of them in my area anyway.
Wow. So wow. Now you've kind of dodged a bullet there a little bit, because they're now just going back through their whole pantheon and redoing all the faces. Yeah. So in some ways, you didn't really miss out, because like, well, now I don't have to double down.
Avoided the cringe.
Yeah,
I do want that slave Leia though. I do want the slave Leia redone, and we know because of Disney owning it, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Wait for the customizers.
I hold out hope, Mike, that there is a window of opportunity there that isn't closed yet, simply because Disney hasn't gone to the level of digitally erasing her from the movie itself on Disney Plus. I feel like when that happens, I want to say let's say if that happens, then the window is truly closed. Until then, maybe there's a chance, like through a fan channel release or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wishful thinking. What do you think of the Black Series? What do you think of it as a product line versus the Vintage Collection and the 5 POAs that you started with?
I always think that the Black Series have a wider range of characters. I think they do a lot of characters. I feel like for TVC at the moment they're doing clones. There's a lot of samey, and it's like I'm not a big clone collector. I love clones. People who watch my channel love clones, but I feel like it's the same thing with different coat of paint. There's a lot of, but for Black Series I see a lot of different characters, and I know they've totally skewed away from sequel trilogy and it's gone all right into Mandalorian, and they're trying to do every character who's ever got an appearance.
Right.
The client's coming soon. Like, why would you want an old man? But yeah, he's out. What's his name? Warnherger or whatever. I never remember the actors' names. I'm terrible.
It's fine. I roll my eyes when kids and again, I like everybody who loves toys and collecting and Star Wars and all that. So what I'm about to say, I don't want people to misconstrue, but I do roll my eyes when I was listening to this podcast a few years ago, and it was a Star Wars collector podcast, and I knew this guy was my age, and he was talking about it was a vintage special episode, and it was like, we're talking about Jedi figures from 1983 or something like that. And he's like, so the next up, he's like, I can't believe that Kenner made Tessic. And I went, Tessic? Who is that? Like, I'm like, oh, Squidhead. And I'm like, dude, the vintage figures card back says Squidhead. Let's not get all hoity-toity with the fake names, like Ponda Baba and Moma Nadon. And it's like, it's Hammerhead and Walrus Man, irrespectively. Or flip-flop, irrespectively is not a word. Whatever. So, yeah, it's some of the granular kind of pedantic way that they've gone about giving every one of these guys like this individual name and stuff. I go, I'm like, I'm never going to remember the clone trooper's name and rank who's got like the little stripy stripe that goes like this on his helmet. I just know he looks different from the other clones. And I get it. It gives them extra collectability. Like, I get it. But so Black Series as a collection for you, I know you collect in box. Is that more fun to collect in box than the traditional card back with a bubble? Do you like that more?
It is now that they've got the murals. The murals is what's bringing me in, where I've got all the Jedi ones back here. I love having all of them together like that. That's gold. Yeah. The other ones I've taken away. They used to be up the top, but I wanted to put my Kenner out. So
now your Kenner, it looks like you've got a lot more than the 12. Are you still actively trying to get the Kenner stuff, or have you kind of given?
Yes. Okay. Kenner is a big passion of mine. Yeah, because I didn't have so many as a kid. As an adult, I do want to go back and like, I never had that one. It's all collecting new again for me. It's like, I know people say they sell their collection and buy them all again. I never had them to start with, so I'm going to buy them.
Right. I stayed away from Black Series for a long time. I freely admit, I was like that first Luke X-Wing in 2013 where they're like, this is definitive. And then Luke X-Wing comes out and he's got Empire weapons. And I'm like, what? Like, I mean, face sculpts being what they were, we didn't know there was going to be face printing technology or anything like that. It was kind of, but just knowing that they face planted with the accuracy they were touting, it was like, wow, right out of the gate, you guys aren't accurate. Like, I don't mind inaccuracy if you're not saying you're going to be accurate. Like, if you're just saying, hey, we're doing 6-inch figures, here's Luke X-Wing, I'll take whatever you give me. But when you're saying it's Black Series, it's like premium whiskey. Like, you're going to get, this amazing definitive Luke.
You're not getting this, Luke. You're not getting...
right. And it's like, okay, but see, Kenner didn't predicate the idea that was definitive. They're just like, hey, it's X-Wing Luke. We did one up, whatever. I have to, ask you, as the guy who's doing the news, literally you're following Hasbro every step of the way with some of this stuff, and Black Series is the dominant Star Wars collectible subset that everybody's looking into right now, barring a few TVC things like the Razor Crest and Sail Barge that are basically HasLab at this point. The the price is going up. They're hard to find. And yet people love them. Like, in other words, they're like, I like my 6-inch icons, all whether they're in box or not in box. This is what we prefer, is the 6-inch scale. From what you've seen with the news right now and everything you do on YouTube, where is the Black Series in your mind going within the next like 2 to 3 years, as far as, you know, collectability, everything like that? Like, do you see this becoming the new vintage Kenner, as far as secondhand value? I mean, I know some of them are really pricey, but I just want to get your take.
I think they did the right thing by making every one of them, the murals, a different color. For every show or every film, it's different colors. So they can stop and start that as much as they like. Like there's ones that we, like Revenge of the Sith, we haven't even, I don't think even have a color for it yet. But they'll just keep adding, because there's a new color for Book of Boba Fett now. They'll do more shows. There's more colors that they can use, and they can build on that at any time and stop at any time. But we won't know. As collectors, we'll just assume, oh, we're going to expect the Ahsoka series in a few years, and we'll have a range of 10 figures. We don't know who's going to be the in there. So they're smart in that aspect to give us that kind of dangling carrot, like, oh, look, you can expect more. So I can see it happening. I don't want to see a packaging change. That'll just ruin everything. People will be just turned off completely. Right. Yeah. If they're with this now, it's a good thing. But they change the packaging again, that they'll see a lot of trouble.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I remember having torn emotions, or I should say not emotions, torn feelings, perspective, point of view about all of the tribute card backs for like Empire 40th and Star Wars 40th. And I sit back and I go, these are nice, but now I can't display these in box the way I do all the others. Like, so even though we have the mural packaging change, which is nicer than the previous standard box,
red and black
at least they're all kind of the same format, you know, where it's like, okay, and but up. Whereas these big card backs, like the ones I'm seeing over, well, maybe those are TVC over your shoulder, I can't tell. Are those over your shoulder? Are those Black Series hanging on the wall over there? Or are those TVC?
Are these all TVC?
TVC. Okay. Yeah.
This one here is Black Series. Yeah. The wall. Yeah, that one. That's Black Series. So you get a giant one.
I mean, it's cool when you think about it, when you see it, but then you go, how am I going to display a bunch of these? It's kind of like the guys that said, I'm going to get all the Gentle Giant retro jumbos. And I'm going,
you got to have the wall. You got to have the wall space.
It's like, do you own an airplane hangar? Like, how are you going to do this? I'm just looking at that, and I said to myself, yeah, you know, it looks really cool having like Luke Snowspeeder on a big card, or Luke Dagobah on a big Kenner style card, but it's not easy to store these guys. Not as easy, you know. It's you know. So do you ever have any temptation, Luke, to collect other types of toys, or is Star Wars really your wheelhouse? Like, do you ever have any temptation to go back and find some of those Hot Wheels that you had when you were a kid?
No, Hot Wheels became a problem in 2018 when I stopped, because they just recolored the same cars every year.
So you were collecting Hot Wheels.
250 cars a year in the main set, and then they have 10 sets of segmented, which is 10 sets of 10. So you got to try and collect them all.
Right.
Through that set, there is multiples of one car will be painted several times over for the year.
Right.
And you're, oh, finally, I've got all the twin mills. There was only 5 of the same car with different colors. The next year rolls around, they do the same thing again. It's just a coat of paint. You're collecting coats of paint, and that just really drove me to the point of like, no more Hot Wheels. That's it, gone. Right. No more. And then I dabbled in the Star Wars ones, but they do not come to my country. The distribution on the Star Wars Hot Wheels is worse than the figures. It's a lot worse. Yeah, very bad in my country. Yeah.
I'm just fascinated to find out that you didn't that you picked up the Hot Wheels thing again from childhood for a while. And I keep visualizing you going from Hot Wheels to running into the arms of a Funko Pop, but maybe I have my timelines crossed.
Oh, no, about 2000, in the year 2000, I went to Hong Kong. And my auntie said, my uncle, her husband, my uncle, he collects some Hot Wheels. You can get him a few. And she's opened a purse up and give me $300 and said, buy some while you're over there. I'm like, $300 buys a lot of Hot Wheels. So I bought him some Hot Wheels, and she let me keep the rest. She just wanted a certain amount for him. So I come home with a bag of Hot Wheels, and I thought, this is great. So that's 2000. Then 2001, I collect the whole set. 2002, collect the whole set. 2000, and it just went on until 2018. It was like, no more. I'm done. I've got 5,600 cars. I don't need any more. So,
do you still have those?
I have about half of those now. Yeah, a lot of them I gave away to some shops around here that had weird retro toy shops, and I just walked in there one day and I'm like, these are doubles, $50, and I give away next to nothing. That was like 30 cents a car.
Yeah. Well, you got to make space. Space becomes more valuable than the cash at a certain point. Ask me how I know. Speaking of that, so you amass about 5,000 plus Hot Wheels, and then you have to start figuring out how you're going to manage that and then offload some. What do you see yourself doing in the future? How far do you want to go with the modern Star Wars Black Series, for example, in TVC? Like, how far do you want to go before have you ever culled that collection?
No, I think with Black Series, when it first went to this phase 4, I'm like, I'll just collect the sets that I like. I just like Jedi. I have to get all the Jedi. They can put the ugliest characters coming up, and I'll still collect them. But there'll be like the Bad Batch. There's a few in there. I collected a few. They're nice. A few Clone Wars. I think I don't have any of the Rebels, the purple. My wife actually has one. She has the Ahsoka, the purple Ahsoka. So there's certain ones I've like pump the brakes on. I don't need them all, but I'll just stick to. If they're going to start Book of Boba Fett, I'm going to be. There's 2 characters already revealed. I'll be all in on them. It's like.
So you're kind of you pick and choose.
Yeah. At the moment,
yeah. Okay.
With TVC with the numbers on them, I'm like, oh damn! From when they re-release it with Ray 1.5, I think it's 1.15, whatever her VC number is, till up to a point where they started repacking figures, and I think we got to a line where they repacked a battle droid. After that, I'm like, hold on, Michael, you don't need this many vintage collection. Just get the ones you like. Right. It got to a point where I don't need every single one. My wife was more, this is costing a lot of money. You've got kids to feed, so it's like I'll buy the ones I like.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with that was, I only buy the Black Series I like, which is mostly OT stuff, and then I did buy I bought the Rogue Ones, the new faces for Rogue One. I bought those. As a matter of fact, I think Melinda just put this on my table. I think this is Bodhi Rook right here. I think. But yeah, I got Jyn Erso just the other day. They've been trickling in like a leaking water keg. They've just been trickling in. Like I got Chirrut like 4 months ago. K2SO
did them all. You'd think you get them all in one go in one box. You'd think,
the Rogue One stuff has just been scattershot. Meanwhile, all the Bad Batch guys show up in their various waves at stores, and you're going, what? But like I've got some random ones, like I've got some of them I just picked up. I haven't even seen some of their shows. I just picked them up. Like I picked up Bo-Katan and I picked up Cara Dune because I was like, oh yeah, it's that Mandalorian show. These figures are pretty interesting, and I just got them.
That's your toy collector there, and not like a fan of the show. You see something aesthetically beautiful, I've got to own it. That'd be great to be in my collection.
Yeah, and I got nothing against the show. I just don't have Disney Plus. That's why I haven't seen it. But like I was very impressed with how they did Katie Sackhoff's face for the Bo-Katan. I was like, oh, that actually looks like Katie Sackhoff.
That translates well. Yeah, she's got a face for an action figure.
Yeah, right. But it's I was curious as to how complete you were going to get, and I guess because you're not, and this is a nice boon to being a news channel. You correct me if I'm wrong, but because you're not putting pressure on yourself to review everything that comes out, all you have to do is let people know what's coming. You don't have to actually acquire everything that's coming. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. People were asking me, the reason I brought that up is people have been asking me, hey, are you going to review the Wave 2 retro Mandalorian stuff like you did the first wave? And I'm like, mm-mm. They're like, no. And I said, it's all just like recolored. I mean, I know they're actual unique sculpts, but when you look at them at a glance, most of them are just like recolored Mandalorians. And so it's like, it doesn't really interest me. I liked the variety of Wave 1.
We like what we like. We collect what we like.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you like to do as far as like, as a collector? How do you collect? I know it's pick and choose, but then how do you make space? How do you determine what's going to be on display in your studio, things like that? How do you make those choices? Because you've got new stuff coming in all the time and vintage stuff. Yeah. How do you do that? How do you rotate it out?
I try and make it look as eclectic as I can. I do have these are GI Joes, and the thing that gets me is the numbers. The numbers is it goes back to the card back to the Kenner. We've got collect them all. I think So I want my vintage Kenner. My vintage GI Joes up here. There's not many of them.
Right.
But I'm sort of gaining. I'll collect them over time. I'll get back on the internet and have a look. I don't know. I don't have a lot of modern up here. No. Anything OT that's modern, like the Palace, yes.
Yeah.
My Tantive 4 up here, it's modern.
Right.
It's just a nice playset.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Just I come and go. If it's something that I need to put out that I really like, I want it behind me, I'll put it there. And other stuff, there's a shelf in my bedroom that I like. Wake up in the morning, where you open the wardrobe, you get your clothes here. There's all the toys. Just look at me.
I had a conversation years ago with some friends when I was at Dragon Con. We were talking about toy collecting and specifically Star Wars. And I don't think I've asked this in any interview I've done, but I feel like I don't know why the question just came into my head, so I'm going to ask it this time. Because I've had this feeling before. I don't know, but sometimes I have this feeling. Do you sometimes feel like, if you were really objective with yourself, that you almost are more jazzed by Star Wars toys than you are about like the movies? And I'm not talking about like, I don't mean like you didn't like X film. I mean in general, like in totality, like, like, like tomorrow.
Most of us are more for the figures than we are for the films.
Right.
Well, since they've made some bad films, I'm definitely more for the toys.
Right. And I'm not even trying to get anybody to qualify, what they think of the new films. I mean, like, for example, people have asked me, if there's a fire tomorrow and you can only save, one thing, what would it be? And I never say I would save the film. I always say that I would save Bespin Luke, or I would save my X-Wing. I never say I would save my copy of 4K 77, which one would think like, that would be, but it's like, well, I've got the movie memorized in my head. So, and that was just a thought I had was, at that time was, do we sometimes love the toys and the acquisition of the toys more than we actually love the property itself? And that's not a criticism.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's how some of us are. We are built that way, and think in our mind is like we're everything evolves around the action figures, not so much the movie.
Right. And Ladies Man 727 says, like the figures more than the films. What? Now, again, I'm just intellectualizing here. Don't worry. I love the films a lot. It's nothing like that. Speaking of that, because you're in the modern news space, you got to keep up with the properties that these toys are based on, don't you? On some level.
Yeah.
So
some of it I just don't want to talk about, but I try to flash over it. Like there's Visions has been a cartoon series, which I watched the first episode and I'm like, it was slow, dragged out. During the second episode, because I tried to play it on loop because I get the Disney Plus, I fell asleep during the second episode. My wife wakes up and episode 3's on, and she goes, "Did you nod off?" And I said, "Oh, I must have." She goes, "You want to go back and watch where you're from?" I just turned it off, so I never got back to it. I could not be less interested. It's a cartoon. It's not for me. It's not for. If you love it, you love it, and I know there's figures coming for it as well down the line. It's like, Visions. I don't know if overly keen to collect those.
I'm not trying to take us into any place where I'm looking for scuttle or anything like that. I'm actually genuinely curious about your community of viewers and how you've experienced YouTube a little bit with a news channel, because like when I'm talking to a YouTuber who does like toy reviews and stuff, I kind of know what landscape we're in. Like I kind of know some of the pitfalls and some of the headaches and some of the things that you go through as a YouTube toy review content creator. I'm very curious to find out what it's like on a day-to-day level with you, your audience, what they need, what you've discovered that they want or ask for as a news guy. Like what kind of questions do you get asked? What kind of things are they looking to you for, hour by hour, day by day?
Mostly what they want is whatever they have in mind, whatever one of the fans have in mind is, I hope this is being made. A long time ago, it was Captain Rex. Please tell me when Captain Rex is coming. And there's rumors that he's going to get revealed. He's coming out soon. And once he was revealed and we've got him in TVC now, people were elated. That was like the best figure ever. And then they go, oh, it's not exactly greatest. Why don't they do it this? And it's like, I can't control what Hasbro does, but I show them a news video and say, look, it's revealed. Here it is. Here's a picture of it. People are happy. There's certain people who jump on the channel just to get their fix of a figure I've got in my head. I want to see it on the news. I want to see it. If I can't control what gets revealed.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and other things about my channel is if someone's new to the channel and don't understand that I'm just showing pictures that are being revealed or leaked somewhere in a shop, someone's taken a photo, and people don't like what those toys are, particularly the credit collection. If they don't like it, they'll thumbs down, terrible video. What do you mean? I just showed it.
Right.
I've done nothing wrong. You said show people. Yeah, they don't critically think that this. I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm just telling you.
Right.
But yeah, I'll get the thumbs down. I get the bad comment, and I'm like, did they not understand that this is how it works? Yeah. Oh, well.
No, they react to whatever they see on screen. That's in front of you, and then, but one day you'll probably get to the point where they just see you, and I can tell you a little bit about that. Oh no, but yeah, Michael French, thumbs down. But I was curious about that because the audience is how do I put this? They're on the same streams that you're on, watching the news. They're on the same websites that you're on. Yeah. But they look to you as somebody who's been willing to put your neck out there. In other words, you're willing to put your neck out there and say, this is what I've heard. This is what I've seen. Here's the images I have.
The opinion after that I give about what I think of them. Sometimes that can grate people really the wrong way. Because I'll say, this is just a recolor of a figure we've already got. And I'll show the old figure. And then everyone's like, well, the new one's better. It's much better. I'm only giving my opinion. I like the old one more than this new one that's coming, or the new one that's got the shimmery paint. What can I do about it? I can't tell them not to make it.
And also, you might actually be coming at it from the perspective of this was a slot that we could have gotten a brand new figure, but they're giving us a repaint in this slot. How do you mitigate the whole rumor thing as part of your news thing? Like, as somebody that has to make choices as to what you're going to put in your videos and updates and everything like that, what's the latitude there when you get rumors and things? Is there like a stackable level of veracity where you're like, that I'll talk about now, this I'm going to hold till later?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do that sometimes. Yeah. The ones I hold till later, it won't be corroborated with a lot of people. It'll just be one source, and that source might be a random on the internet, send you a DM and say, this is coming. I sort of keep that one on the back burner. It's like, we'll wait and see. Because in the past, I've jumped straight in and said, yes, this is coming. Again, it's not. So a lot of times I wait for a couple of people to say it before I, this rumor is red hot. Because we're still expecting 2 figures of Luke and Leia from the Rise of Skywalker training. We're still expecting those figures. They're rumored. But no one's seen anything other than there's 2 websites that were like, yes, it's coming. Yes, it's coming. Nothing yet.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't even, that's the first I've heard of it too. So
I'm still waiting for pictures.
Oh yeah. I mean, are they going to look like, are they going to be colored the way they're colored in the scene, which is kind of a flashback with not very realistic palette? Like, is it going to look almost like a dream? I wonder if they'll do that, I don't know. Like, you literally just told me something I didn't know. And now I'm just visualizing like how accurate to the cinematography are they going to make these figures? Yeah.
So they're rumored to be on the way. It's like, I hope they look decent. They'll be in the Rise of Skywalker packaging, which is the blue, which we've only got the Dark Side Ray is the only blue packaging we've got for Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
Wow.
In Black Series.
Did you like Rogue One? Did you get all the Rogue One figures or pre-order them?
I have the entire Rogue One 5 POA. Every single character they brought out.
Yeah.
I got them all.
Okay. So I just didn't know if you were getting the Black Series ones with the redone faces as well.
I'd like to, but no. I'm holding back for a while because money's been a bit tight.
Right.
Thanks to I don't know the world's problems. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get you. I hear you. The reason that I kind of admittedly jumped on the Black Series for Rogue One was I got some of them back when I did my Rogue One video a few years ago, but I also had all the 5 POA stuff. But then I ended up selling a lot of that back off because I never could find the last wave. And that was
wave
when
4?
with Admiral
Very hard to find.
Admiral Radis. And, yep.
I think Fenrayo is a Mandalorian.
Yep.
Lieutenant Cephala.
Yep.
And I think it was Galen Urso.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Oh,
I never could find him. I never could. I know, that's great. That's why you have the knowledge. That's why I come to your channel. I never could find them. And so it was finally like, well, I've held on to them for a few years. I kept a few, but like those were ones I had doubles of. And then I just kind of let the rest go. Is there anything in the Rogue One 3 3/4 inch 5 POA that you didn't get?
No. I've got them all. Maybe a vehicle. If a vehicle comes with, I think there was like an ATST and it had like a trooper in it. I didn't get that. A lot of the vehicles I don't really collect. Playsets, yes. Vehicles, not so much. I appreciate the vehicles, but I just don't have the space for them.
Right. Well, I got all the vehicles for the review, and then I gave the U-Wing fighter and the TIE Striker away to my cousin's kid, which I guess would be my second cousin. The reason I did afterwards was because they were, like you said, they were taking up space. This was several years ago.
U-Wing's like this bloody big.
Well, yeah, but it's mostly floppy plastic fins. Like you can only get one. You can only get one figure in it. So it's like
it came with what's his name?
Cassian.
That's him. I couldn't think of it. Andor, Mr. Andor.
Cassian Andor, the most popular figure to customize into a classic Battlestar Galactica pilot on the market. Yeah, that's true, by the way. That's not a joke. But I still have the walker. I still have the big walker in the box and everything.
That's called the AT-ACT. It's called, and it moves, everybody. It's a great vehicle. Absolutely great
it's
vehicle.
really cool.
$320 Aussie dollar dues it was.
Stupid. Do you have that?
I saw it on the shelf for a long time until somebody bought it in my local store. I remember it's just sat there because of that $320 price tag. It took a long time to move.
Yeah. It's also heavy because it's got all those electronic servos and stuff in it. So even when you put it back in the box, it's just like, it's like picking up a mini fridge. So you don't collect a lot of vehicles. I assume that's more due to space than it is interest.
Yeah, and I often tell people as a kid we couldn't afford the vehicles and the big stuff, so I didn't own it. So it's like I'm at peace with not owning a vehicle. I've got like a little A-wing and the speeder. There he is. This one here, but these ones here.
Oh yeah,
that's a gift. That's a gift from a fan. Someone sent me this. Beautiful. Like they must have thought, oh, this poor bugger, he hasn't got a speeder, so I've been gifted a speeder. That's the Black Series one.
Yeah.
It's very well done.
Oh wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's great.
I think it might be 2016. I can't remember. 2018. But yeah, a Luke speeder.
That's gorgeous. I remember seeing those for sale, and at the time I wasn't collecting Black Series, and I passed it by. And now, oddly, I have the figure that came with the speeder. But I don't have
Luke with the bucket hat.
yeah, but I don't have the speeder. It's weird.
Looks like he's ready to go fishing.
yeah. I have the snow speeder. I have the Black Series snow speeder, but that's the only Black Series vehicle that I presently own. But that's because Empire.
That's a beast.
Yeah, you tell me if it's Empire Strikes Back and it's related to Luke Skywalker, and it's like put the syringe. I'll take it.
Take my M5 fix.
Yeah. Now, when I ask this question, I want everybody in the audience to listen to me very carefully. Okay, I'm not asking this question in order for somebody to race off and blast Mike with a request for an address or anything like that, because you guys are really nice out there. You guys are super nice, but he might not actually have the space. Okay, so I don't want anybody to get all Father Christmas on us and do anything that he doesn't want to have happen. I'm sure he can just mitigate that on his own, but I don't want anybody to bombard his inbox with requests, because you guys are super nice and generous, but I am super interested to find out the answer to this question. I know you have space limitations. I know you do things where you say, I don't want to collect them all anyway. I'm trying to be reasonable, trying to be practical. If you didn't have to be practical, if you didn't have space limitations, what is the one vehicle, if you could get one from any scale, any range, any toy line over the years from Star Wars, what's the one vehicle or playset you would have tomorrow?
Oh, controversial, this one. Probably the Razor Crest. That looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. It really does. The Razor Crest. I know it's not old school, but yeah.
No, that's fine. I said
or,
any line.
Or if they do a new updated village, Ewok village, that would be brilliant. Yeah, if they did that village in like, the Return of the Jedi anniversary coming up, and they expanded on it, made, I don't know, prettied it up and made the Sherwood Forest greenery on it. I get that all day long.
The Sherwood Forest is right there above me, and then
there
you can see the Ewok village.
Oh, on the other side.
Right there. So that's my childhood Ewok village from the Christmas of '83. That's my Sherwood Forest from about 7 or 8 years ago now, and this is my Robin Hood 2006 BBC Castle playset, which is populated by Prince of Thieves Kenner action figures, because this castle is actually scaled better to them than it is the figures that were supposed to interact with it. So I
saw your video on that. It's like, wow. It's like, I didn't know this TV series even existed. Like...
I know, right? It's like, what? I couldn't believe it either. And then I saw the figures and I was like, yeesh, like these are so bad. But okay, so Razor Crest. That thing's like, what is it? The size of Idaho? Like, it's really a big toy. Like, it's a real, yeah. It probably doesn't dwarf the Legacy Falcon, I think, in footprint.
It probably does. Yeah.
I would, or at least it's comparable, I would think, on some level.
Lengthwise, not so much in width, but it's just would be as long.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again, because I've already gotten beaten up for it. So there's nothing they can do to me now about it. I have no problem with the sail barge and the Razor Crest as items.
Yeah.
And that's what's so tragic, is that, you've said 2 or 3 times in our discussion today about how this X thing is impossible to get where I am, or they didn't come to this country or whatever. I sit there and I look at those items, and I've never said for 1 minute that those items aren't gorgeous. Like, they're very well engineered. They've got great, design work on them. I would have bought a sail barge in a heartbeat if it had been on a retail shelf. And that's kind of the whole thing. It's like, they're doing great work. I just wish they would make it available to more people, because more people are willing to pay that price. I don't mean lower the price. I mean, increase the volumes. Don't make it a year-long, 2.5 year wait Kickstarter. That's my problem, is the model. It's the model for the money transaction. That's the thing. It's like, whatever. But as far as the Razor Crest goes, let's, as John Cusack said in Grosse Point Blank, let's put the spotlight on you. Let's get this conversation back on you. Tell me about your feelings on Mandalorian. You clearly love it, and you want the Razor Crest. What did the Mandalorian say to you, speak to you when you saw it for the first time? Like, how did it impact you when you saw it as a lifelong, original generation Star Wars guy?
I think it just ticked the right boxes where it looked like Star Wars, whereas the films were trying to get as Star Trek as they could be. They wanted that sort of aesthetic of like space, the final frontier. And I'm like, you got the wrong franchise. Where this one is boots on the ground, dust, sand, mud, grime, grit. It felt. They fight with their fists. They don't all like shoot each other with laser pistols. It felt really like gritty enough for us to say this is Star Wars. I think one of the directors or producers said it's like a Western. It feels that way, and that sort of, that's cool to me. That's Star Wars. That's Star Wars all day long.
Do you did you have any I laughed because I don't when I say laughed, I wasn't laughing at collectors. I was laughing at the coincidence of it all. So everybody's, don't burn me in effigy when I say this. I was simply laughing at the timing. What did you think about the fact that they blew up the Razor Crest in the show right as they announced the HasLab version?
That was insane. That's just an insane thing to do. It's like, give us all your money for this thing here. Bang. It's like, oh, well.
And I know there were people who are like, well, the Death Star blew up and they still made a place out of that. It's like, that's not the same thing. That's a false equivalency.
Yeah.
Like,
there was no Death Star toy before the Death Star, was there? No, the Death Star toy came after the film and it blew up and all that. Like,
exactly.
We were told to buy this, like, here it is, buy this. Oh, by the way, it doesn't exist anymore. It just got blown to smithereens. I'm like,
blam.
Why?
Well, in the case of that one, I mean, ever since the XB38 came out, they just aren't in demand. But My Figure Culture, thank you for the super chat. He says, appreciate both your content. What's your favorite original trilogy Imperial characters? And at RetroBlasting, BS General Veers is Black Series General Veers is one of my favorites and best in the line. Cheers, gents, for the stream. Jedi Hunter 83 Jeremy, thank you for the super chat. What are your favorite original trilogy Imperial characters, Mike?
My favorite is Tarkin, and people don't know why, because I've said it before. He looks the actor who played Tarkin looks exactly like my grandfather. They could have been brothers.
Really?
Yeah, there's this absolutely spot on him.
Wow. So your granddad looked like Peter. Your granddad looked like Peter Cushing.
Yeah, they're about the same age too. They were born around the same year. They probably both went in the same war together as well. So that has a kind of meaning to me, because it's like that just for that purpose. Other than that, it's always been Han Solo, because the first figure was Han Solo.
I thought that you might say that because of the fact that was your very first figure. It usually is.
Yeah.
Although with me, while I have a soft spot for Chewbacca, and he's definitely in my top 10 due to nostalgia of being my first figure, Bespin Luke gets all the accolades. Now, as far as Imperial characters beyond, I want to ask you this question specifically, because when Figure Culture asked this, I was like, because Luke, when I was talking to Luke on the stream I did with him, his favorite figure was Boba Fett. And I don't have a problem with Boba Fett at all, but it is an interesting generational trend that a lot of guys in our generation are fixated on Boba Fett. Yeah. Now he's in my top 10 vintage figures, but where does he play? Okay, so he's high up there for you. Is what
he's high up there, yeah.
Oh, okay. Not as high as Tarkin though.
No, but there's not a lot of Tarkin figures. I think that the Black Series figure with the droid that comes with him, and a few figures through the years of 5POA, and forgotten almost. Where's my the retro one? That's the greatest figure of all time. Tarkin in retro.
Yeah, I have the retro Tarkin. It's hard to see. He's. Let me see if I can make my hand do the right thing. He's right there on top of the Death Star, right there with Darth Vader. Glad
they brought him out in retro. That was good.
Oh yeah, I do have a Tarkin figure that I bought for the Rogue One video. That's from one of the modern lines. It wasn't a TVC or anything, but he's one where you can kind of put his hands behind his back, and he's got like a soft goods lower tunic. I think he's actually from the set where you had the whole council table from like the Saga collection or something like that. I know there's a photo of him or an image, some B-roll of him in the Rogue One review, but I'll dig him out of the modern bin over there and I'll send you a photograph. But he's I mean, you don't think because Peter Cushing was older at the time, you don't realize how tall he was, because he was always standing next to Dave Prowse, and anybody looks small next to Dave. Yeah, because when you see Rogue One and you see him standing next to the name of the bad guy, Mendelsohn, Brad Mendelsohn, Krennic. When you see him standing next to Krennic, he's like dwarfing everybody in the room, and it was a little weird at first because I'm going, no, he's supposed to be short and old and little. Then I'm like, oh, he was standing next to Darth Vader. Like, everybody looks short and old and little next to Darth Vader. Mike Hinkson, thank you for the super chat. He says, hello, Michael and Mike from a very cold and snowy Hoth-like Reno, Nevada. Michael is my place to go for vintage Star Wars. Mike is my place to find what's new and up and coming modern Star Wars. Great seeing you two. Great to see you too, Michael. Thank you so much. And he's a Mike
as well.
Yeah.
Mike and Nacho.
There's so many of us. We are like the Lobots in 1982 at a toy store, just hanging on the pegs. We've been there forever.
It's snowy. I got, what have we got? 24 degrees Celsius today.
Nice. Well, what now? I don't want to give away your exact address, but what part of Australia are you in right now? Like, where do you live?
New South Wales. Mm-hmm. Woo. I live near probably everyone's heard of the town Byron Bay. It's very, very eclectic. Yeah, I live not too far from there.
Okay.
Now, beaches, boobies, pretty girls.
How I'm going to show some geographical ignorance here. I know generally where Brisbane and Sydney and Melbourne are, like, obviously. But when I went to Melbourne and I was in Victoria, okay, you're south of there. So that means
Melbourne's way down south.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was like, you
Byron
Bay
is between Sydney and Brisbane. somewhere in between those two.
Yeah. Okay. So you're more North Coast, right? Okay. Yeah. All right. So Brian Dillingham sends a Dillinghamism. Thank you very much. And I just realized that I missed out on a chat up here real quick. Let me see if I can get to it.
Scrolling back on the StreamYard.
I'm scrolling back on the StreamYard. Tenko, thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. I was hovering over it, and then I got caught up in some pretentious question that I asked Mike, and I forgot to say. So I'm going to leave that up there for a little bit because Tenko is probably waiting forever for that. And then Wes Robinson has a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, appreciate this. Of all the vehicles from Star Wars toy lines, what do you consider the best? And what's the runner-up? And then what was the worst? So, Mike, as our guest and resident expert of all the vehicles from all the Star Wars toy lines, what's your best, your second place, and your worst?
Okay. Is these the ones I own or is people own?
It doesn't matter. I think he's looking just for your general opinion about the whole line rather than anything you might own or not own.
Oh. Well, they've always said the best playset is the original Millennium Falcon. That is the one that everyone gravitates to. I don't have one. I have the Force Awakens one with Nerf, and it comes with Finn and Chewie.
Right.
Mine's still boxed. Mine, I've never opened it up. It's still
the box is bigger. Yeah, the box has more play area than that actual Falcon at that point. So.
What can I go? I do like. There's an A-wing that came with the. I know people say A-wing. There's a 5POA version. It's in their line for the Last Jedi, and I had that A-wing, and I think it comes with Tali Lindstrom. The only way you can get that figure, and because I love figures so much, that gets a runner-up in my opinion, because you get an exclusive figure with it that you can't get anywhere else.
Right.
The worst. Ooh, one that I own that I kind of cringe at is the Han Solo speeder, the one that looks like a book. It's blue,
yeah,
and it's got this crumple zone thing, and it's like they didn't need to put that on there because that rubber that's going to be crimply is just going to deteriorate over time. It's just going to it's going to be a mess in 20 years' time. I've still got it, and it's just like I wonder how that's going to look, later on down the track. That's going to be a bad idea.
Did you ever get to handle one of the original Force Awakens 3 3/4-inch X-wings? Have you ever handled one of those out of the box? So I had a chance encounter with one I was on a business trip in Oklahoma City, and Seth Hastings, who is the owner of Plastic Galaxy Toy Store, had a shop there. So we went to see his shop. It was really cool. But it's right around the time that Force Awakens came out, and he had one of those X-Wings just sort of out, on display. And I said, "Oh, it's the Poe Dameron X-Wing." And he goes, "It's garbage." And I went, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." So he takes it off the thing, and I start to notice that all the cannons are they're all just loopy. But then you're talking about the rubber pieces. He goes, check out the nose cone, the X-Wing nose cone. And he goes, burp, burp. And it just goes in like a clown nose. It's like, like it's just this piece of thin rubber. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, this thing, that won't last. Yeah, it's horrible. Horrible. That would, yeah. Wes, I'm gonna say, Wes, that the Poe Dameron X-Wing is definitely one of the worst vehicles I've ever seen in the 3 3/4-inch scale. I agree with Mike definitely about the Solo speeder. When I saw it in the trailer, and they're flying it, and it's him and Emilia Clarke, and I'm going,
it's gonna be like he's hot rod. Yeah.
But it looks so rectangular, just uninteresting, and I was like, oh my God, because when we were kids, they in the United States, they at Valentine's Day, they sell these really nasty tasting chalky hearts that have like little messages on them, like love you and be mine and all that stuff. Well, at the time they came in these little rectangular boxes, and the boxes had a heart-shaped cutout on the front with cellophane so that you could see all the heart candies inside. Well, we figured out that if you dumped the candies in the trash, because who wants to eat those anyway, and then you just rip the cellophane out of the box, it becomes a cockpit seat, and you have that box as a speeder. And we would fly them around the backyard. We didn't have our own money, so we needed to make vehicles wherever we could, before Christmas or whatever. So we would have these little speeders made out of sweetheart candy boxes. Well, when I saw the Solo trailer, I was like, He's flying around in one of those candy boxes. It's a candy box. Oh, so yeah. What did you? Oh, we have super chats here. Hold on. Nathan Cloud, thank you for the super chat. He says Hasbro will learn the wrong lesson from the Rancor. They might, or they might not. What do you think about that, Mike?
I think they'll move away from Black Series HasLabs for the time being, just until the dust settles. They will try and make this disappear faster than the Cookie Monster. We don't hear a peep about the Cookie Monster. It's very hard to find a picture of him online now. They're trying to erase him from history. So they'll do the same with the Rancor. It'll be gone. It'll be what Rancor? What Rancor?
Scott Hughes, thank you for the super chat. He says, even if it's not quite in scale, impossible, I would like to see a Razor Crest sail barge, Legacy Falcon size Star Destroyer. Kenner version is bad. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys. The Imperial Star Destroyer from Kenner is pretty weak. It's pretty weak. That is actually going to be the next Star Wars Follies early next year. So anybody watching, preview, sneak peek. The title of that Star Wars Follies is called Wedge of Cheese. All right.
Star Wars Folly is how I found you a long time ago. One of your first videos I watched, you're holding up a yellow lightsaber.
Oh,
way back when.
That's a long time ago. Yeah, that's like Genesis for RetroBlasting. I appreciate that. I'm honored. Eddie from Outer Space, thank you for the €2. He says 1/12 scale Rancor. That would be 1/12. Isn't that 3 3/4 inch scale? No, that's not right. No, that's 6 inch scale. That's 6 inch scale. No, or am I wrong?
I don't know myself.
I don't either. I'm very bad. I'm very bad at the maths. I'm very bad at the maths. All right, so we're caught up on our super chat. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about being a toy collector in Australia and how you guys have to mitigate that market a little bit. It's a very different experience from over here in some ways. In some ways, it's very similar, but in some ways, it's different. So, paint a landscape for us. Tell us what you go through.
There'll be some Aussies watching in the chat here. I can see a few names. Doing vintage stuff. You guys, we watch a lot of the US stuff, and you guys go to bric-a-brac stores and antique stores. Go in there. Look at all the vintage toys. In our country, that never ever happens. There's really rare. It's like if we go into a old bric-a-brac shop, there's never any toys. If they do, they are garbage tier toys. There's like, knockoff stuff and stuff that's really, really modern. You don't find a lot of really classic old stuff. And when I do, I think recently I saw He-Man. Looks like a big spider. $100 US for that. And it's like, and it's incomplete. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's sort of overpriced and very hard to find. So we're very envious when you guys go, thrifting. I'd love to go thrifting.
It's been such a frustration for me because I like to send things to Tony and other people, my friend Adrian and Melbourne and things. And right now, there's only the post can only go one way. Yeah. It's like you can send us stuff, but we're not allowed to send you stuff. However, I've been told if I send things to my friends in the UK or Holland or wherever, they can forward it on, which is like, what? Like, so we're trying to figure that out. Cookie Monster.
You're not erased from history. Yeah.
He says, what 3 original Kenner vehicles playsets should I get to have a respectable showing of the line? Usualmike, tell us your opinion on what you think, what the 3 he should get.
The playsets. Get yourself an Ewok Village if you can. That's classic. That's a toy that's fantastic. An old school Millennium Falcon is as complete as you can get it. What's another vehicle? Like people, the old X-wing. The I know there's 2. There's a battle damage one and the original one. Yep. Yeah, one of them. It's iconic. People know it. If it's in your collection and you're hanging it on, people do this anymore. Hang it with the fishing line from the roof and it just dangles there. People come in and go, look at that. I know what that is. Yeah.
Right. I have to agree with that in the sense of availability because I'll tell you this, Cookie Monster. Right now, that's the Kenner Death Star way up there in the corner. And for a long time, it was the only Death Star I knew. And then when I got the Tomart's guide in the 90s, and I saw that thing over my shoulder in a picture,
there it is.
And I thought, what the heck is that? And why, how can I get one? And then it was the surprise generosity of someone 20 years later that made it happen. William Kilford, if you're watching, love you, man. That's why I cannot say as an answer to that question. I would have said before that, I would have said, oh, a Kenner Death Star playset, but now I can't say that. It's not that it's terrible, but it just doesn't compare to this. And that one is really hard to get. So I wouldn't want to send you on a chase like that. So yeah, I agree with Mike. Sonny Frisch.
Pounds.
Yeah, right. Oh, is that what it is now? 500 pounds?
Well, I was watching a Vintage Lester Toy channel the other day. There was one in the store, and the guy was trying to haggle for it. And he goes, "What's the cheapest you can do?" And he goes, 500 pounds. Oh, that's 1,000 Aussie dollars. I was like, what?
Holy crap. Yeah, the prices have been crazy. Well, that's my next question. Sonny Frisch, thank you for the €1.99. He says 6-inch Moff Gideon with TIE Fighter would be my pick. Fair enough.
6-inch TIE Fighter.
Yeah, the not the Force Awakens one, I assume, but like maybe an updated sort of OT one, something like that.
I know.
My next question. I'm getting old. What were we talking about right then when I said what my next question was going to be? Because I've literally just lost it because I'm a bad interviewer. What did I just say?
We're talking about the Death Star and prices, money, $1,000 dues.
Right. So. That's right. So when we're talking, thank you very much. You saved my bacon. So when we're talking about prices over in Australia and we're talking about trying to find this stuff.
Yeah.
The prices are already getting higher and higher on modern as or standard retail price. We're not talking secondhand. We're talking standard retail.
Standard retail is $29, 29 Australian dollars for a vintage and $45 for a Black Series. But exclusive Black Series are $55.
See, okay, This is exactly my point. So I'm not about to say that modern isn't worth collecting. I think anything you want to collect is worth collecting. I truly believe that. But there's been this mythology for a long time that vintage is too expensive. That's why I collect modern. That was probably true as of 10 years ago. But 5 years ago, the lines started to blur. And now with the latest price hike, I feel like the lines have blown out because anything that's already off the pegs, and things are off the pegs in seconds now, you know, compared to the way they used to be. You know, they make a lot fewer, and
every store gets one case, case with 8 figures, and they go on with one collector.
Right. Do you see a point, and you can feel free to disagree with me. That's why I'm asking the question. Do you foresee a point where the cost of entry is so much on parity that it really is 6 to 1, half dozen the other, whether or not you go modern or vintage with your collecting focus? Yeah, I mean, because it's not.
If you're young, you like you say you're like, I don't know, 15-year-old boy right now with a bit of pocket money. You see what's on the shelf, and you're like, God damn, these prices are expensive. It's like this is insane. Here, it'll turn away and go somewhere else. You might go and buy Pokemon cards, for all I know. The price, Hasbro must know that these are the guys buying the toys.
Right.
It's like, you guys have got expendable income because you work for a living. So they're not for kids. So the prices are for us. It's like, it's marketed straight to us, adult collectors.
It's oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it's just turning the kids off. The kids aren't going to collect it because it's just too expensive.
And also half of it is online and weird Hasbro Pulse sites and stuff where kids probably aren't going anyway.
They're not going
well, that's the whole thing. Oh, thank you, Whit. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's the whole thing with me is that I don't have a problem. I'm not the type of person that sits around going, you shouldn't collect that. That's not my attitude. My attitude is more, whatever you're collecting, does it make sense from where it's coming from? In other words, like, I don't like poor distribution as much as I don't like flagrant scalping, right? I think those two things are equally damaging to the toy collecting hobby, right? But at the same time, I sit here and I go, okay, so this literally, I said this to myself just the other day, sitting here in a moment of quiet as I was slowly changing out a shelf in my studio from a Black Series display to an Indiana Jones display. I was just kind of changing it up for a little bit. And I was putting the Black Series figures away and I was putting them back in their boxes. I was doing it the right way, Mike. I was doing it the right way. I was putting them all back in their boxes. And I thought to myself, you know, if the prices on these go any higher, I don't, with them being as hard to find as they are generally on average, I don't know how enthused I'm going to be to run around and try and find him. Like, I don't, I was actually thinking that the Rogue One wave, will this be the last hurrah purchase for me with Black Series? Will this be my victory lap? And because it's actually gotten to the point where, like 5 years ago, it was like, oh, it's hard to find, but when I do find it, it'll be $14.99.
Yeah.
Now it's literally going, okay, I can buy the whole wave of Black Series Rogue One heroes on pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store, but if I do, that is literally a third to a half in price of a really nice leather jacket that I could get a lot of use out of. And I never thought that toys would get to that price right out of the gate. Like, I never thought I'd be sitting there going, that's a custom Indiana Jones fedora and money right there, and I think I want that more. I never thought it would be there. I mean, rare items obviously on the secondhand market are going to be high price, but I'm talking about right out of the gate,
Yeah.
So you've talked about price a little bit in this discussion, so that's why I was curious. Like, is there a threshold where? Okay, let me reframe the question. Prices are going to get higher. We're just going to assume they're going to keep getting higher. What are you going to start ejecting first in order to keep maintaining a collection on the other thing? In other words, what's the last thing you'll stop collecting? Like, in other words, what's the one you just won't let go of until you just can't justify it anymore? What one line or one, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be one.
Yeah, I think that's when I was talking about these being the color coded they are. With like Jedi, I'll keep them right to the very end. And I haven't got a complete set of Mando, I'll start offloading some of the Mando figures. I haven't got a complete set of clones, start offloading the clones if it comes to that. But for the time being, I'll hold on to whatever. And if I see an affordable one that suits my needs, fills that little gap up, I'll get it. But yeah, over time, a $45 figure here in 2 months' time, it's double. It's $90 online.
Right.
And then Aussies charge $15 postage to each other as well.
Yeah, I just figured that, like, because like for me, Melinda and I talk all the time about, well, if the channel ends tomorrow, and I always tell her, yeah, if the channel ends tomorrow, like 70% of this collection is going. And I'm like, but the Star Wars stuff, the vintage Star Wars stuff stays. I'm not getting rid of that because that's personal, for me. Yeah, all the Kenner. So like, if you start to have to look at it and go, I was thinking that based on your collection, I was like, I bet you Mike would hold on to the Black Series. You would never get rid of the vintage. We're going to take that out of this question. But like, of the modern stuff, I would have thought you would have held on to all the Black Series before you got rid of any of those. But maybe you'd hold on to your TVC clones, for example. Like, maybe that's more important, and you'd offload. Yeah. So I don't know. That's why I wanted to ask. Raymond Hoy, thank you for the super chat. He says, Michael and Mike, great to see you on a post-Christmas live stream. I'd love to have a scaled-up Hoth base from the Micro collection, complete with the ion cannon and exploding power generator. Thoughts? That would be a massive playset.
Does it have a roof?
Right? I think the only way that they would be able to get away with that is that you don't get a really, at least from, you tell me if I'm crazy, Mike, but the way they did the special effects for that ion cannon, you don't get at least to my eye, I don't see a sense of scale with it. And it's at the base of the mountain, not at the top. It's at the base of like an iceberg or something. So, and again, my eyes could be tricking me. I could be wrong, but everyone's going to reveal that Michael has not been able to properly watch Empire his whole life. And,
I would probably, if I was to make a playset, I'd just do the big hangar. I'd just do the big hangar and you park your already own X-Wing in there and just have troops around,
Right.
It'd just be a facade, kind of like the Jabba's Palace, just a facade or something.
Right. Yeah.
And all the walkways and all.
I would love like the Echo Base thing with, some, you're never going to get a play set that accommodates the Legacy Falcons. Just give up. All right, guys, just give up. But like, if you could get like the vintage Kenner play set in the hangar and then an X-Wing and one of the modern 3 3/4 inch snow speeders, I think that would be really cool, But like, it's not going to have a Bacta room. It's not going to have Luke's recovery room. It's not going to have, maybe it'll have really big doors, something like that. So what do you, what's your thoughts on Hasbro's kind of abandonment of the playset? Because I know you have the Tantive hallway. What do you think? What do you think of the Tantive hallway? Do you like it?
Yeah, not too bad. It's not spectacular, but it does what it needs to do. It's a big hallway. It's got the look of how it is, and it's got the little slidey door, and of course buy some more, and it's a bigger playset. They love that. They love that. Yeah, you got to buy an extra one to make it complete.
You so you've never been tempted to like get like 8 of them to do the racetrack?
Oh, I'd like
the
to.
square.
No. I've seen photos online, and I'm like, wow, someone's really keen on getting double-sided as well. You know, put one on each side to get 2 walls.
Right. Oh man.
I think the other one is this one here, the carbon freezing chamber. They give you half. It's mint in box. This one is. I left it in box. This might sound absolutely mean and nasty to me. I railed this thing. I looked at the reviews. I thought it was rubbish. I thought it was terrible. The only good thing about it comes with an action figure, but it's not the action figure that we wanted with the playset. I absolutely beat it to death, and then someone kindly gifted me one, and I was like, I don't know if they're having a laugh or just thought, Mike doesn't have one of these. I'll send him one, and like I haven't really got around to like even opening up. I'm just left it there for the time being. It's just in situ.
I get it. Like I've had people who are good friends of mine on the channel, and they, when I say on the channel, I mean they watch the videos and stuff, and they'll just send me like Funko Pops, and just to see my face. Like they'll just send me them to see my face, and I'm like, you know, and then they're like, ha ha ha, you know, and you know what, it gives them, you know, a big laugh, and I'm sure, and you know, then I just put them in a dusty box somewhere, and I put the box in the back, you know, and you know, I kick it in a corner, and then I'm sure gremlins start popping out and stuff because I left it under the water
really
heater.
Appreciate someone's giving. So I really thank you if you're watching, and you know, I love the generosity, but at this time I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I may open it one day on a video. Just
right.
Yeah.
What I saw the video where you talked about the freeze chamber playset announcement, and you were, you know, delightfully stark about your feelings on it.
I watched the live stream live, got up to watch it, and then I watched it back, and I'm like, is that all they're giving us? Is that it? Is that it? And it's like, it frustrated me, and I was like, this is not even half a playset. It's a quarter of a playset. It's flimsy. It doesn't even look like the area. And then I showed a customizer called Hoppy's Creations. He did this beautiful one, like absolutely beautiful, with this things hanging down, smoke effects. Oh, looks brilliant. So I showed that and said, that's what it should look like.
Okay, so I'm holding on to this next question because you've just walked me into it. But before I do, I want to acknowledge Jason Anderson. Sending Michael a Funko Pop is the equivalent of cupping a fart and throwing it at him. That is true. That is true. Tell me about watching the Hasbro streams. I'm going to confess to everybody right now, okay? I've never watched a Hasbro Fan Wednesday or Fan Friday or whatever they call those streams. I've never watched one, not because I'm boycotting Hasbro, just because it doesn't make my radar. It's not the way I would choose to spend my time. And also because we have a guy like Mike who does it for us. He suffers through it for us, and we can just go to his channel, right? That's right. So what are those like? Like walk me through the general pattern of one.
For me, it's normally they'll be on either 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. The 1 a.m.s I usually watch them on my phone, and I have the live chat as well, and you can watch all the down boo boo boo. So I'll just watch it as a general like laugh along, and look at all the people being, you know, salty about this, salty about that.
Right.
Then I go to sleep. The next morning I wake up and I sit and watch it again with a notepad and pen, and I write everything down that they go. Pause it, write some more down. Pause it, write some more down, and then construct my video out of how I want to present it. How completely opposite to them. On the stream, they're like, yay, we got these things, yay. And I'm like, you can see they said this, they said that. I'll drop in bits of information. Sometimes Patrick will say things that are like, and that'll be coming. What? Yeah. There's times where he dropped the thing about Boba Fett being on an orange pill card back. And I clipped the footage, put it in my video. There's no such thing as an orange pill blue sky card back Boba Fett. It's a myth. So, right. Yeah, where some of the things come from, you really got to listen sometimes to what they're saying and all that. Yeah, and it's arduous to get through watching it twice for everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean that was my next question. Was you talking about that orange pill card back, and you know right off the top of your head, you're like that doesn't exist. It's not a thing. That's vintage. That's vintage level knowledge on top of you trying to collect all of the modern news that's coming in. How on top of all this on a granular level do you have to be? Like you seem to have like, even though your vintage collection isn't like completist or anything like that, you've got to have, like I said, just like with modern, even if you don't buy certain modern figures, you got to have the knowledge of them.
You got to talk about the stuff.
I mean, do you have inherent knowledge of all the names, the variations, the colors, the card backs, the this, the that, the errors? Like
with the red and black boxes, at one stage, I tried to remember every single character, line up to every single number. I tried over time, that is just it's starting to disappear. With the characters' names, yes, I try and remember every single character that's been released in Black Series. The TC is very hard to remember the VC numbers. I try my best to remember all of them. From my videos, all I've done is drop all the Mission Fleet. Don't talk about Mission Fleet anymore. It's fun. It's a cool kids line. It doesn't resonate with a lot of adult collectors. Some people buy it. I try and not mention that anymore. There's more stuff coming. No Lego, don't talk about Lego anymore. I usually drop in, there's a new Lego set.
Really?
So I don't do that anymore. Occasionally, in the old days, there'd be the fantastic, I think the Cantina was the last thing I mentioned.
Yeah.
They did the Cantina play set. It's in Lego. I mentioned that, and that's the last bit of Lego I've ever going to mention. It just putting more stuff on my plate. It just made it confusing. Okay. I was just like, we'll just talk about vintage and Black Series.
Well, yeah, because Lego is in and of itself a lifestyle. I mean, if you're a Lego collector, that's a whole. I said on the space Lego video I did that the only reason that I can't get into modern Lego is because if you do that, it's at the exclusion of everything else. If you really want to keep up, you're absolutely right.
Can't keep up. There's a Lego channel on YouTube for that, guy. So go and find that.
Right. Analog Toys, thank you for the super chat. It says, Michael, do you know what budgie smugglers are or a shoey? I'm sure Mike can explain.
Budgie smugglers. Briefs that you wear to the beach. They are the tiny little speedos. The budgie smuggler is the what they call them because it looks like you're smuggling a budgie in your pants.
Right.
A shoey is not. See, Tony lives in WA. I think a shoey is where you're celebrating someone's 21st, 40th, whatever, a birthday party, and you're all on the drink. You're having drinks, and a shoey is where they pour the alcohol into the shoe and drink it out of the shoe. I think that's what it is. Yeah, to celebrate. Yeah. What is it? Some sports teams pour it into their trophy and drink it out of there, but a shoey is like, it's very, very bogan.
What? Speaking of, Tony leads us back into the Australian terminology. I know. I feel like I underserved the exploration of the question earlier, where I said, what's the collecting experience like that's different in Australia versus for American collectors. I know you talked about availability and ease of accessing that kind of stuff, but if there was one thing you could change about toy collecting in Australia for modern, what would it be to improve the situation?
More stores, more brick and mortar stores. That would be brilliant because we have literally one store you can go down and do a pre-order, and that is EB Games /Zing, which is a GameStop. That's it. That is it. Our big W, which is Walmart, they don't take pre-orders. We got Targets, they're all folding up and closing. Kmart's, forget about it. So, yeah, we have no stores. The online stores are few and far between in this country as well. There's only like 3 or 4 really good ones, and the rest garbage. Yes.
Interesting.
That's garbage. I'm just saying they don't focus on Star Wars or G.I. Joe as much. They'll do like Q Poskets and things like that. So there's some toy stores that don't focus generally on what we want to collect.
Right. Tony, I'm just going to tell you one thing. There is one bit of trivia from Australia that I know about budgies, and that is that a debut album from a singer was derided by an Australian music critic as a singing budgie, and that was Kylie Minogue.
Singing budgie.
Yes, he described her as, what is all this about? The girl from Neighbors is doing an album. She's just a singing budgie. And I would love to see that critic now. Anyway.
You guys don't know what a budgie is in the States, is? I think you used to call them parakeets. I think.
Yeah, I know what a budgie is, but yeah.
Parakeet. We don't use that word.
I've known, probably due to the fact that I've spent most of my life, following, Kylie Minogue trivia around that. I know definitely. I hear the word budgie in my life more than I hear the word parakeet, quite frankly. Yeah.
Everyone watching, Neighbours better than Home and Away. Kylie was in Neighbours.
Was Home and Away was that the one with Reese Witherspoon? What am I thinking of?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking of A Far Off Place. Sorry, I'm thinking of A Far Off Place. Home and Away. Was Kylie in Home and Away?
She might have had an appearance, but she's definitely on Neighbours. Kylie was definitely in Neighbours.
Oh no, yeah, I know Kylie's on Neighbours. I've got her DVD set with the volume 1 where there was never a volume 2 of Neighbours. That's all the Kylie episodes from. Well, not all of them. All of them from the beginning.
Might have appeared, maybe appeared in an episode as a special guest or something.
I'm being ignorant of that. I'm ignorant of that show entirely. Home and Away. I don't know what it is.
It's a soap opera, everybody. It's a terrible soap opera.
Okay, so see, it's not. I'm not being like, I don't know what that is. I hate not knowing what something is. But I don't know what it is. It's not
for us. It's truly. Yeah. It's not designed for guys like you and me. It's designed for middle-aged ladies to sit there and drink coffee and watch at 7 o'clock at night.
Carl Stitz, thank you for the super chat. He says, love these community events, longtime fan of RetroBlasting and new fan of Mike's. Wishing you all the best in 2022. And you as well, sir. You as well. Well, we're a little bit over the 90-minute mark, but usually at the 90-minute mark, what I like to do is ask. And first, I want to just, Kieran, you're correct. Michael's secret mission in life is to work Kylie into every conversation. That is true. What I'd like to ask is if I've missed anything or not asked something, or there's a topic that I totally didn't bring up that you might have been interested to talk about on the show, on the episode. I don't have a show, but you know what I mean.
On the channel.
Yeah. Is there anything that I didn't bring up that you were hoping to talk about that we could talk about right now?
Not really. No, we covered modern, we did vintage, we did. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you've smashed it all out. Excellent.
Oh, good. All right. Well, then sorry, go ahead.
Is this where the people in the comments ask a question now? Or?
Well, they can certainly do so. I've been trying to keep up with the questions as we go. I've been seeing a lot of commiseration and things like that throughout the stream. But let me just look for some questions here. Let's see.
Today I'm wearing the right shirt. I'm wearing the right shirt today.
It is a nice shirt. It is very nice shirt. Let's see. Cute Fluff says the work that goes into a video is impressive. Most wouldn't do it, Michael and Mike. And sorry for the RC belch. I really apologize for that. I literally didn't have any water. I didn't grab a water, and I was like, I'll just grab one of these. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well.
RC Cola. Classic.
Mecha Man Blades. Yeah. The Hasbro live stream seemed pre-recorded. You will get one guy from Hasbro that throws in a random comment in the chat, but nothing to respond to fan feedback. Interesting.
I've noticed that too. There'll be a comment in there, like they'll be like, boo, boo, boo. One person, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, what? Where's this plant this guy's from? Bit of PR spin in the chat.
Reynolds Review says, haha, right on, Connor. I just find them straight up boring. I'd rather visit other channels for the news afterwards, like Usualmike and Boss Bounty, etc. Boss Bounty, yeah.
Yes, his wife's not doing too well, so we're thinking of you, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah,
she's in hospital at the moment, so we're thinking of you, buddy.
Sending good thoughts. Sending good thoughts. Let's see. Tim Hayes says half of one freeze chamber was enough for me. They take up way too much space. True. Let's see. Jason O'Toole says the price point of the Tantive playset was stupid.
In this country, it was $100, $100.
What? For that hallway?
Yeah. For that hallway.
Oh, give me a break.
Usually, whatever it is in the US, even though the currency conversion, let's say it drops in the US at $50, the currency conversion will put it about $65, $70. But for some reason, Star Wars decided, no, we'll just double whatever the US price is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just
crazy.
Wrong. Phil Stevens, you can find RC Cola. I get it at Publix supermarkets. If you're in the United States, try Publix. That's where I get it. It could be regional. I'm not sure, but I don't think it is. Let's see.
And Woolworth in Australia. Get it at Woolworths.
Oh, you get it. Nice. Yeah. Matthew has a question for you. He says, do you think we will ever get a Hasbro the Client Werner Herzog figure?
Well, we are. Yeah, there's one coming. The Client. That's the name I was trying to get earlier. Werner Herzog. I couldn't think of his damn name. Yeah, there's one in the works. It'll be in a couple of ways from now. Sometime 2022. There's an image out there on the internet, but it's blurry and it's not. I think someone stole it from Hasbro. It's not an official release.
Let's see. Yeah, sorry I'm late. Was watching Manchester United make total dicks of themselves. Hail to two of the kings. Hail to you,
thanks,
sir.
Dave. Thanks, Dave. He's awesome. He knows I'm a Manchester United fan myself. Everyone hates me for it. It's the only soccer we got in the 90s in this country. We got Manchester United versus the team of the week, whoever they're playing. That's the only soccer games you get in the early 90s. This is pre-pay television.
Oh, why was that? What was it? Just some deal they struck or something?
Manchester United were hot in those days. David Beckham, it was like 91, 92. Young up-and-comer, and they were doing really well. So this Australia just decided we're going to just put their games on. It'll be Saturday night or Sunday night or whatever the game comes on. Manchester United versus whoever they're playing. That's all we got. So you have a lot of Manchester United fans because of it, because that's the only bloody team we ever got to see.
See, nah. Let's see. I'm just looking for a few more questions here. Most of it is just really nice comments. I do love this from Jim Hayes. Chalky hearts were good when Brock's made the letters you could feel. Yeah, I mean, but they were still chalky, my friend. They were still chalky.
They get really dry and then break off on your teeth. Like
yes.
I know the ones.
Yeah, the ones that break. It actually breaks your tooth and immediately substitute as a filling at the same time. Yeah. All right. Well. Here we go. Matthew says, "Hi guys, great discussion. As old school Star Wars fans, might you have any thoughts on Star Crash? That is the Roger Corman movie with." It's the Italian movie distributed by Roger Corman, starring Carolyn Monroe and David Hasselhoff. It is a Star Wars ripoff. Have you seen that, Mike?
No, I did. This is the first I've ever heard of it.
It's unique. It's I'll say this: it's more entertaining than the holiday special. I'll put it that way. But it's a bad film. Like if you want to see a really, and it was made in the late 70s. So if you want to see a really bad sci-fi film where David Hasselhoff lightsaber fights a stop motion giant Wizard of Oz Tin Man at the end, then I highly recommend you see it. Oh, okay. Look it up on YouTube. Just look up like Star Crash, laser sword fight. Yeah. It's awesome. Wild. Yeah, it's crazy. There was a lot of drugs being done back then. A lot of drugs. Yeah, a lot of the stuff is just a lot of you guys are just here, just leaving really nice comments, and appreciate that. All right, well,
Tez is here, Grindhead Jim's here.
Yeah, Tez and Grindhead Jim. It is.
Only one Kenobi in the chat there. He's unsubscriber. He's the very first. When I started YouTube, the very first time I got on and looked for Star Wars content to watch, I found his channel.
Oh, really?
He was the first one in the community. Yeah.
Nice. Wes Robinson, thank you for the super chat. He says, is there a mass market vintage 80s toy line you'd like to see a modern take on? For me, it's Mask. Mike, you got one?
Vintage 80s toy line? Oh, they've already redone it. It's Micro Machines, but they're not as good as the Galoob ones. The ones that are out now. They're made by Jazzwares. There's no licensed cars. There's no licensed sets. So everything is like impractical. I wanted to go back to that old classic sort of like Lamborghinis and Porsches.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. That'd be really cool. where the cars don't all look the same. Yeah,
that's correct.
My Figure Culture asks, any thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett character predictions? How long do you think the show will go on? Cheers.
Well, I reckon it may go on for like 2 or 3 seasons, depending on if they don't make it too off the wall, and they'll put in a lot of the characters like we were talking about earlier, Ponda Baba, the Walrus Man. I think some of those, we obviously know Hammerhead's in it because he's in the trailer, but a lot of those classic characters, aliens that we've seen in Kenner, I think they'll pop up in the Book of Boba Fett a lot.
Okay, Danny, the better Minogue sister. Jason, the mistake you've made is thinking it's a competition. It's not a competition. It's not a competition. It's just about who you like. And I like Danny, but Kylie's the one I grew up with. So there you go. But I do listen to Danny. So there you are. Reynolds Reviews says, you certainly are, Mike. I always envy your shirts. You know, it's funny you say that because She's she's right there. So
lovely.
Yeah. Let's see. Is Usualmike into the retro O-ring Joes or the Sky Striker?
O-ring Joes up here, classic ones. I'm a bit disappointed that they are bringing out once again Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. Again, it's like they always go back to the ninjas, and it's like, can you do a character with a face? You know, everybody's got to be covered up. You only see this much of their face. It's like, it's cheaper for them to do that because they don't have to sculpt the face. And because no one is that likeness when you're a ninja, you can be anybody covered up.
Right.
Yeah. So they keep going down that route. So I just want characters that we can see. Like I can't wait for Major Blood. Major Blood's my favorite G.I. Joe character because he's an Aussie. I want him.
Yeah. Isn't he specifically from Tasmania? Isn't that right?
I don't.
Okay.
No. Sydney, and they spelled Sydney wrong on the card back. Instead of Sydney, classically they wrote Sidney, Sydney with an I instead of a Y. Someone didn't spell check back in the day on the original card back.
That's an oof moment right there. It's like, oh gosh. Bjorn wants to ask, what's the biggest spider you've ever seen?
Usually the Huntsmans are about as big as my hand. I have seen a little bit bigger, but that was when we were bushwalking as kids, and the snakes were scarier than the spiders. But yeah, see, spider crawling up a tree as big as your hand, that's something. Yeah.
MRK, did Usualmike buy the DeLorean Playmobil set? Heard it was great.
No, I didn't. I don't have any Playmobil in my set. No, nothing in the collection of Playmobil. I should get on it. I know you love that Ghostbusters Firehouse.
I on the Christmas live stream yesterday, I showed off the ahead of the video that I'm going to do. I bought 3 of the DeLoreans and then as many of the playsets as I needed to get the conversion parts to do all 3.
Gotcha.
So I have a part 1, part 2, and then a white wall tire part 3. I do have it comes with the train wheels as well, but I see that as a variant of the part 3. Yeah, because like for example, like I have the part 1 set up to be the mall chase. It comes with the pole and hook, which is cool, but it's like that's just a variant. I don't need like part 1 with the hook and without the hook, and then I just need a part 1, part 2, and part 3. And I prefer the white wall tires because if it's on rails, can't go nowhere. Yeah. But it's a really nice DeLorean. I mean, like even if you're not into the Playmobil figures, and a lot of people aren't, the DeLorean itself is the nicest toy DeLorean I've ever seen as far as its proportions, its looks. It's got the right logos on it that they licensed and everything. Rubber tires, larger rears, smaller fronts, just like they're supposed to. It's really, really a nice toy. It's really nice.
Should get on that.
Kieran, has Mike ever considered collecting any other modern toy lines?
Kieran, I have a little bit of AEW made by Jazzwares as well. I have a few of those. Wrestling and Star Wars is completely polar opposites. I don't really show them on my channel, but I do love them. I think what they're doing at Jazzwares for those figures is absolutely awesome. And a couple of Motus I've got now. I've got 3. Oh, actually, no, they got the Skeletor and the Rotor, which a guy called John Baldry gifted me, a vintage ones. The Rotor and Skeletor with the battle damage.
Nice.
Very generous of him.
Yeah. Connor Fuller says, Mike, are you excited about the new G.I. Joe Classifieds due out this year?
Yes, I am.
Have you collected any of the Classifieds? Oh, I see them right there. I'm being blind. There they are. Yeah, they're right there. Dirt.
Yeah. Everyone was against this movie line, the ones with the black stripe. They're all the movie lines, so they represent. Oh, wrong screen. Yeah. So the Baroness, I think she looks beautiful, but
I'll put it right there. There you go.
There we go. There's Baroness. Yeah, people were kind of against this line. I don't think they're going to do any more of this movie line because there's they don't look like they're properly supposed to. But yeah.
Well, I thought the Scarlet actually looked better than the standard Scarlet. The movie Scarlet, I thought looked pretty good.
Oh, the Aussie girl. There she is.
Oh,
she's
yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, that to me looks a lot better as far as the face sculpt. I would still repaint the costume, but the face sculpt looks a lot better than the one they brought out standard. Yeah.
Beautiful. But there's more coming. Yeah, the site that got the leak was a very, very tiny YouTube channel. Got the leak of a listing of all next year's G.I. Joe Classifieds. It's like, wow, the list is amazing. Yeah.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't give it to big channels. They give it to these tiny channels.
Brickham's Den wants to ask you, do you own any Lego Star Wars sets?
I don't own any Lego at all for myself personally, but my daughters, don't talk about that. Their Lego, it lives in these little plastic heads. They pull the top off and pour it out on this floor. So I have to clean it up before I do a video right here.
Right.
Yeah.
I only own vintage space Legos and some castle Legos. I have the good stuff, and I have I like certain things that they did for the modern line. Like I was really tempted. The one time I was tempted to get modern Star Wars Legos was when they did the Rancor Pit and Jabba's Palace as 2 connectable sets, and I thought that's cool. I didn't get it though, because I was like, I'm going to start down a road and then I'm never going to come back from it, and it's going to be bad. So, but I do like some of the stuff they do with the new Lego, but I've only gotten, like I said, I have my Woodsman and Castle and Space stuff from when I was a kid. I bought more vintage space for a video I did, and that's really about it. Sal at 2 Cents Toys keeps throwing Mega Constructs Masters of the Universe stuff at me, but I know that's not Lego, so I won't insult anybody with that. Let's see. Hi guys. Anyone know if Grindhead Jim is still doing a live stream today? The thumbnail's gone. I don't know. Haven't kept up with it, Johnny. Sorry. I wish I had some info for you. What is your favorite Star Wars sound effect?
A screaming by. A lot of people like the.
A lot of people like what?
The lightsaber.
Let's see. Left 4 Dead Fett says Kylie Minogue's hot sister Danny was in Home and Away.
Okay.
Well, that does make it worth watching because I like Danny too. That's not a competition. Reynolds Reviews. What's that?
Oh, Danny. Wasn't she married to that Formula One driver, Jacques Villeneuve?
I think that's correct. Yeah, I think you're right. Michael, I meant to ask you when I was on, but do you remember when you knew Star Wars was the franchise that was going to shape you as a collector and as a person? Yeah. For me, it was just when I saw that movie the first time. What about you, Mike? I mean, because it was life-changing. The movie was truly life-changing. I know a lot of people say that, but it really changed my whole perception of imagination, creativity, what was possible, what you could really immerse yourself in.
The movie, I don't know if the movie changed me. There is a movie out there that I've like gravitated to forever, and no one likes it. It's Revenge of the Nerds. So it doesn't work too well in this day and age. But when I was a young kid and I saw, guys getting bullied and they stood up for themselves and they won over the world, and it's just that. Right. Because I was a very awkward kid. I'm still an awkward adult, but that's another story.
I've got membership cards if you'd like me to send you one. The nice thing about old movies too is that there's an endless back catalog of things that you can watch movies till the day you die and you'll never see them all, even if you never watch a current one. And so like I love going back. I love classic movies, not just classics from the last 20 or 30 years, but even going all the way back to the silent era. I love just old movies and the way they used to tell stories. So to your point about Revenge of the Nerds and stuff, as much as I love Star Wars and as much as Star Wars was life-changing in certain ways, what it did for me, Luke, if you're out there listening, is that it gave me a window. Like Mike was talking earlier about how Mandalorian really felt like a Western, but sort of like readapted for the Star Wars universe. Well, Star Wars introduced me to a lot of those visuals and tropes and things, and then it made me interested in other genres and older films like actual Westerns and spy movies and all that kind of stuff. And so the next thing I knew, I was watching all kinds of stuff that I prioritize today to watch. So, in other words, I don't sit around watching Star Wars 40 times a year. I actually haven't seen Star Wars. I watched the 4K 77 because I wanted to see that restoration. And then that was like 2 years ago. And now I just continue to watch. I mean, I'll watch it again soon, I'm sure, but I like discovering new things. I was watching Carry On films the other day. I was having so much fun with those. Talk about inappropriate.
Awesome.
Like they make Revenge of the Nerds look like nothing. But
there's some good lines in that.
Oh yeah.
Sid walking up and down in the hospital and the matron comes over. Hey, Sid, have you had your baby yet? And he goes, no, I'm going to leave that up to the missus.
Right.
I love it.
It's funny you bring up Carry On Matron because that was one of the 2 that I watched when I sat down. That's one of the 2 in a row. Stephen S. says, so is Australia frowned upon by Hasbro or something from the sail barge to normal everyday price points? This should be criminal.
As Australia, if you look at the live streams, at the end of the live streams, they'll say US, Canada, UK. Australia doesn't even get a mention. Australia don't exist. It's like,
right.
they don't know there's a market here that people want to buy their product. And it's like we have a Hasbro Australia, but they are, I don't know what's going on down there. There's an office in Sydney, and ring it up and say, "Oh, you're getting this stuff that they just revealed," and they're like, "What figures?"
Right.
They have no idea what's going on. No idea. Their own offices in Sydney don't even know that earlier today there was a reveals for product, and like people like me will email them or call them on telephone. Are we getting them? Where are we going to get them in Australia? Where are they going to be exclusive to? Where can we get them? And they have no idea about them. They have no clue whatsoever. Unless they're lying to you, most of the time you get nothing from them. We have no idea about this product. Yeah. Bizarre.
Eddie from Outer Space, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Are you into Star Trek original series or TNG? Asking for a friend."
I watched every episode of The Next Generation, Captain Picard. I thought it was great television. I actually shed a tear when they're playing poker in the final episode and it's just flying off. And it's just like, it's no more. It's not on anymore.
It can't be over.
It's not finished. Yeah, I really love that show. But yeah, new Star Trek now, I just pretend like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's not very watchable. You're absolutely right.
No, they're trying to get a whole new generation of fans, and they're just really just sticking it into the old fans who like, I know that franchise. I've gone, this is nothing like watch. Yeah, it just turns you right off. They don't know what they're doing.
Grant Criddle himself from the Vintage Rebellion is here. He says, Lady Proxima and Ryan Giggs 1992 shirt for Black Series.
Ryan Giggs, great player.
Let's see. Alter Ego says, came in late, but wanted to say hi to both of you. Hi to you. And then I see Shabby is here as well.
Hey.
He says, this chat is smothered in awesome people. It very much is, sir. It very much is. Let's see.
From where I sit at this, I don't know how many people are watching, but thank you, all yous.
We've had we're at 371 right now, but we were up above 450 at the height of the discussion about your collection and everything like that. Wolfie says, great chat, guys. One day we will get that Echo-based Tauntaun stable. I would love to see that. Darth Wizzy Wizard, thank you for the super chat. He says, AT-AT, I know you want me to say AT-AT, I'll bet, but I'm going to say AT-AT. ESB, TVC, or Millennium Falcon TVC favorite? I like the Falcon myself. What do you like as a vintage collection legacy vehicle?
Go the Falcon, yeah. They are done well. I know there's a new one, this Galaxy's Edge version, and it's like a lot like the legacy one, but yeah, they do look spectacular. There's that gigantic big Falcon sitting there.
Yeah, and just to tell you, Wizzy Wizard, there by my TV, Melinda found these two end tables for either side of the television that have like this white kind of almost like stone formica kind of top, but with these aluminum with glass shelves underneath so light can come through. They look very Bespin. I'll put it that way. They look very Bespin. And for the purposes of that, we bought both of them so that I could put the Legacy Falcon to the left of my TV and the Legacy AT-AT to the right. And so they're both there represented in the studio. But I think if you said you have to get rid of one, I'd get rid of the AT-AT. So let's see. And I'm sure people are going to be like, it's AT-AT. I'm going to be like, no, it's AT-AT. Jedi Knight, thank you so much. He says, huge fan of both shows. I found you both at the beginning of the pandemic. Keep up the great work. Thanks. You are welcome, sir. You are welcome. Christian Snyder says, do you think Disney Star Wars has made any iconic vehicles besides the Razor Crest?
Well, they did a recoloring of the AT-ST in The Mandalorian, so they just stole an idea.
That's true.
That was a very good ship. That one that come out with the Clatoonian Raider, the action figure, which is exclusive to that. So yeah, that looks very nice. Very nice.
Let's see. George Aitken, good to see you, sir. Do you think that because the Skyscraper got funded, do you think they will bring out O-Ring Joes? I guess he means for retail. I guess so. Grindhead Jim.
The first couple are going to be the first couple of O-Rings. I think are exclusive, but yeah, they're going to bring them out. Hopefully, like that.
Oh yeah. You've got all of them. You got you're current on the retro, aren't you?
Yeah, I love the retro.
Wow, that's awesome. I've got a lot of the 25th anniversary Joes. You know, I open my stuff, but I've got them. But Those are like the sort of improved 25th anniversary styles from right before Toys R Us went under here, that when they were exclusively selling them in 2-packs, just retooled and repainted. Like when I say retooled, I mean repainted, redecoed, whatever, and put on retro card backs. But
modernized them.
Yeah. Let's see. Grinded Jim says, question for Mike and Michael. Are there any Bespin-centric vintage collection figures I should avoid like the plague, and are there alternatives? I can name one, but they just came out with the alternative. So the question is, do you want to pay $20 for a TVC figure? The original vintage collection Lando had outdated arm articulation. And when it's like Lobot and all he has to do is hold a little pad, it's fine. When it's Lando and you want to hold a blaster and do stuff,
like
it's impossible. So they just came out with a new They just came out with a new Lando and a new Lobot in the more modern articulation. I've got mine pre-ordered with Big Bad Toy Store. I expect to receive them in 2025. It's going to be great.
It's Empire Lando, isn't it? Empire
Lando. Lando and Lobot. Yeah. You've already got him?
Yeah, Lando. He's up. That one.
Wow, you've already got the new TVC Lando. Where did I go wrong?
Empire.
I'm still waiting on my pre-order from Big Bad for those. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. What is Usual Mike's favorite cartoon?
Favorite cartoon? We were talking about Visions earlier, weren't we? There's the horrendous.
Yeah.
Favorite cartoon? Oh, go back to Inspector Gadget. I think that was I thought that was fantastic, but that's old school. No, Gadget.
Yeah, that's okay. He didn't say whether it was old or new. He just asked what your favorite one was.
I mean, I watched a lot of Simpsons, but Simpsons sort of it got a bit samey by the end. It's still going.
Yeah, it got samey, but like a zombie, it keeps shuffling along. Mike, how is the Playmobil Enterprise? I love it. The Playmobil Enterprise is gorgeous. I'm going to do a review on it in the new year, so you'll see it then. But it's truly fantastic. It's a fantastic piece. I know it's not priced for kids, but it's still very much a Playmobil toy. Like they didn't do anything that, like, in other words, if you had it in the house and you had a kid, the kid could walk up and interact with it just like any other Playmobil toy, and you wouldn't have to worry. Like it just happens to be of a size where the price point was really high. Let's see. Let's see. Do you have any Action Force?
No Action Force.
No Action Force. All right. Let's see. Grant Criddle asks, how come they made TVC Lando? Isn't he a slave like Ula and Leia? Well, no, he's not the Skiff Guard version. He's the Bespin version. Although I guess if you're looking at the way he's kind of stuck in Darth Vader's deal, then he's kind of. But no, he's just the Bespin Empire Strikes Back Lando. Let's see. Mike, did you ever have any interest in the vintage Droids and Ewoks lines from the old cartoons?
Yes, but getting my hands on them in this country is impossible.
Hey, guess what?
So
it's impossible. It's impossible.
The new ones are coming. Oh, okay.
So you got the new ones on the way.
The new ones on the way. January.
I just went and bought Pro Customs and Stan Solo ones, and I'm fine. I'm like, great. All right.
I remember you did a video on them, and you run through some of the names of the Droids characters. Was it the Droids characters?
Yeah.
And you were like Uncle Gundy. I can't remember most of the names. I remember you saying them in my head. I'm laughing. Well, who come up with these bloody names?
I know. And the one character that, despite his stupid name, the one character in the show who was supposed to be in Wave 2, who would have been the only Droids character I would have wanted as a figure, they never made a Wave 2. So thankfully, Pro Customs actually made the characters from the prototype images. They actually made the manufactured figures, and so I've got him. He's actually, it's hard to see them, but they're like back there
in the glass.
That's yeah, but they're not like vintage Kenner. Yeah, but they're great. I love them. Let's see, Mike, what is your favorite vintage collection release this year?
I think either Palpatine. I think the sculpting on the new Palpatine is really done really well. He's not just a smooth blob of plastic. And the blue sky cardback Boba Fett. But Is he up on my wall too? Yeah, he's there too. I'm just plugging in because my battery's running a bit low.
No, it's your timing is good. Your timing is good because I never want to keep a guest over 2 hours because you have a life just like I do, and you're probably wanting breakfast.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the best ones.
Beautiful.
So there's
very
no
nice.
such thing as the orange pill behind it. No such. Yeah, it doesn't exist. It's just yellow. It's yellow for everybody.
So we're gonna end on this super chat, and then I want to ask Mike one final question about his channel, and then we're gonna call it because he's got a life to live today, and we've kept this poor man over 2 hours. Very gracious of him to stick around.
You did a 4-hour stream the other day, didn't you? 4 hours plus. Fantastic.
Let's see. Thank you for the super chat. He says, "Where do you see your collection going when you are gone?" Me, I will leave them to my 5 kids. Who gets what? Yet to decide. What are you going to do with yours?
I suppose my kids will get them. I want to encourage them a little bit more into it because my girls are like, it's, for them it's just a thing. It's nothing that they go, oh, that's special. It belongs to Dad, and one day it's going to be mine. They don't have that concept yet. Yeah. so hopefully I can talk them into saying this is, this obviously get bigger in the next, 20, 30, 40 years. So,
let's see.
Passing it down is good. Passing it down to the kids, always nice.
Yeah. Saint Archangel. I'll end it on this one because I guess we haven't. I think we've already answered this, but I think I have the answer. But who is Usualmike's favorite Star Wars character of all time?
First one. Oh, we said it was
Han Solo. Tarkin. That's right. Tarkin. Yeah. Han Solo's your favorite figure. Han Solo's your Tarkin's your favorite
Star Wars character.
Yeah. So Tarkin is the answer. All right, everybody. Well, I want to thank you for being on this interview and spending 2 hours with us plus and answering all these goofy questions and everything like that. But I would like you to just, for everybody who's still watching, we've got over 370 people here. If you could just tell everybody where they can find you, what your channel's about. And let me tell you guys, if you need modern Star Wars and Hasbro news, but mainly Star Wars news as well, this is your guy. So tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
You can find me at Usualmike Television on YouTube, Usualmike TV on Instagram, or Usualmike 30, which I started way before YouTube, on Twitter. And I haven't had a video up lately because I've gone work, Christmas, work, wife's birthday, RetroBlasting. So it's been busy the last few days, but a video is coming soon.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, everybody, we are going to let this gentleman get back to his life, and we're all going to get back to our lives. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for making the stream so fun, everyone. And we will see you on the next one. I might have a video out before the end of the new year, but I don't know, so don't hold me to that. So if not, you're going to be seeing some cool stuff starting in January. I'll talk to you guys later. Mike, thanks again, and we'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone.